themselves. Simply that. We would not be where we are today were that not the case. What the president must do now is to fire Rosenstein and fire Mueller. And then if they want to try to impeach him, take all comers. On the basis of what? Mueller's coaching of Comey just prior to his testimony. There's the reason for his firing.
Absolutely. And the president...
there's no partiality.
And the president has the trifecta now. He's got to move against these criminals now. Let's play a clip from Newt Gingrich laying it out. Here it is.
The Mueller investigation has so many conflicts of interest. It's almost an absurdity. The law firm he comes from gave 99.81% of its donations to Hillary Clinton last year. That's right. 0.19 of 1% went to Donald Trump. The people that he's been hiring are all anti-Trump lawyers. Several of them have very bad records of hiding information from the defense. And one case was rebuked by the Supreme Court on a 9-0 vote. It's hard to understand why he would assemble such a team unless it was a deliberate effort to go after the president and the president's team. I think that
this is the most biased lynch mob of executioners ever assembled in modern history. Even real Democrat liberals like Dershowitz and Jonathan Turley are saying this is insane. The president should fire all these people. This is a rogue group, and the media is acting like Mueller's the new president and that he's Jesus Christ come down from heaven.
Yeah, it's really extraordinary. If you go to my page, The Stone Cold Truth, I wrote a piece about a week ago called The Three Amigos. It's important to understand the extent to which Rosenstein, Comey, and Mueller are best friends. They have aided each other's career. They have covered for each other. And they have all been executioners for the Bushes and the Clintons. These guys work for the deep state.
We're going to post your article at Infowars.com. Roger Stone, stay there. I want to talk about what Trump needs to do now. This is a big deal. 5 more minutes on the other side than all the other news. Stay with us. Roger Stone's coming up again later via video Skype. I'm Alex Jones.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Since the time of Hippocrates, the father of modern Western medicine, in 420 BC, the ancients have marveled at the power of whey protein from milk and cheese. That's why I'm so proud to announce the latest addition to the InfoWars Life family, True Whey Protein from InfoWars Life. It's produced right here in the United States of America under the strictest high-quality organic conditions.
To them that mourn
Our True Whey
to give
Protein
unto
from
them
InfoWars Life contains a whopping 20 grams of protein per serving. We went out and did massive research and found the very best company and facility to develop our whey. And it took us years to finally get contacts with some of the larger, most respected companies to bring you a super high-quality whey protein at a very reasonable price. That way you get the benefits and the taste of high-quality whey while supporting our information warfare operation against the globalists. Doing our research, one thing continued to really stand out. It's not just that cows and their milk are associated with the best, highest quality protein, but also that those cows be grass-fed. That is essential. And all of this whey protein comes from grass-fed happy cows. This is the very best way that we were able to bring to market. Please try it for yourself and tell us what you think. Again, thank you so much for all your support. It is True Whey from InfoWarsLife.com.
Hey, did you know that you can now preserve your own food for up to 25 years and still maintain its nutrition and flavor? That's right. Now's the time to build your own food storage with Harvest Right's freeze dryers. Go to InfoWarsStore.com to learn more and check out this innovative and smart technology that's easy to use. And let me tell you something, it is perfect for freeze drying fruits, vegetables, meats, dairy products, desserts, and entire meals. Woo, that's what I'm talking about. And when compared to traditional methods of preservation, like canning or dehydrating, you know, like what you get at the grocery store, there is no comparison. Harvest Right freeze dryers retain 97% of the food's taste, color, and nutritional value and have a shelf life of up to 25 years. Now that's what I call the miracle of food preservation. Harvest Right is truly the world's best, most affordable freeze dryer. So what are you waiting for? Check it out right right now at InfoWarsStore.com.
Every morning before I start writing or shooting a video, I take 2 capsules of Brain Force for a sustainable burst of energy. This is, without question, the most powerful nootropic I've ever taken, and it comes without any of the crashes or the jitters associated with energy drinks. It's additive-free, nothing artificial. It's Brain Force Plus. Read thousands of 5-star independent reviews right now and get your Brain Force Plus at InfoWarsLife.com.
Waging war on corruption. It's Alex Jones coming to you live from the front lines of the InfoWar.
All right, Roger Stone's leaving us in about 5 minutes. He's going to be back on later. And guess who else is on? Michael Caputo of the White House, of the Trump operations that they've been demonizing and going after and claiming that, this guy who was in the campaign is somehow working for the Russians because he was sent in by the CIA as part of U.S. aid to keep Yeltsin in power. And so then they use the file on him to then say, oh, look, he lived in Russia for 10 years. This is next level. He's going to be joining us because he testified in secret, just like they wanted Stone to do. Then they gave a transcript to the congresswoman, but not to the media or him, and then accused him of perjury. So that's coming up. Give us a little foray, a little preview of that, Roger. And then let's get back into just a recap of what this signifies. Sean Spicer being basically having Anthony Scaramucci put over him, who's a patriot, and then saying, fine, he's leaving, and then giving his reasons to the New York Times, extremely disloyal. So what does this overall signify?
A total lack of professionalism, in my opinion. You'd never see this from Michael Caputo. Michael Caputo is a young conservative. I met him when he was the press secretary for Congressman Jack Kemp. Long active in anti-communist activities, actually helped the freedom fighters in Nicaragua. And he did work for the United States Information Agency program.
Let's back up here for a minute then. What would you advise the president to do, or the public at this point, to promote and push and lobby for in this civil war the Democrats admit they basically started? Because they admit they want to declare the entire election to be a fraud once they get Trump, and remove many Republicans who were elected in 2016, put Homeland Security over the elections thereafter, controlled by the Democrats, and basically ending our political system as we know it and completing our mission into being a country like Venezuela.
Number one, begin the prosecutions of the Obama National Security Gang, Ben Rhodes, Susan Rice, Valerie Jarrett, Clapper, Brennan, Rogers, over the unmasking. You do not win on defense. You only win on offense. They have broken the law, and these are crimes far more serious than Watergate. Secondarily, we need election law reform, and the president's doing the right thing with this election commission. And we've already proven that the mainstream claim that there is no voter fraud is a fraud itself. American people need to know that. Secondarily, I think the president's got to, or thirdly, he's got to go his own way on health care, and particularly on the corporate tax cut. Should not let the establishment Republicans get him off of his reform agenda. Only a radical reform agenda is going to rally our voters for the 2018 election. And no more closed-door hearings on anything pertaining to Russia. Let's have it all right out front with the American people can hear it all. House and Senate. What they did to Michael Caputo, having him testify in secret, and accusing him of perjury when he has no access to the transcript, nor does the public. That's a kangaroo court. That's
something else I've noticed is almost everybody they're going after has an Italian last name. Is there some type of underlying waspish or establishment, East Coast, Harvard discrimination there? Because I know in the old blue blood elites that goes on.
You know, it's funny you should mention that. When I was on WBEN in Buffalo with Michael Caputo the other day, we mused about the fact that we're both Italian Americans and that we're in the crossfire, as has been Scaramucci. You know, there are, unfortunately, still a lot of people out there who think that just because you're Italian American, to me, affiliated with organized crime, is really insulting.
Well, maybe you guys are just loyal to America and not trying to sell the country out.
We're loyal to Donald Trump and we're loyal to try to save this country.
All right, Roger, get to your Skype. Absolutely. We're going to talk to you in an hour via Skype. Thank you, Roger.
Look forward to it.
StoneColdTruth.com or Infowars.com. Let me just stop at this moment for just a second with everybody. Twitter has announced, quote, they've increased censorship 10 times from last year. Now, that's Twitter saying we're censoring, and we've increased it tenfold against conservatives and libertarians. You're not going to bully liberals. So while they're saying kill Trump, kill Alex Jones, kill everybody, beating people up, the head of Twitter, there it is in Recode, says it will punish 10 times more users for being abusive than it was a year ago. They're just introducing us to communist Chinese style. You're not allowed to show the president, the dictator of China, with Winnie the Pooh, because that's, quote, abusive as well. They call it bullying. Literally, that was a popular meme in China. You get forced labor 3 years for showing an image of him with Winnie the Pooh. And it's the same thing here. So Twitter's been blocking us. YouTube's been blocking us. Mark Dice is coming up later. He got blocked out of his YouTube for a few days. They were just going to shut it down. They've told us that they're on the verge of shutting down our main channel with close to 2 billion views and 2+ million subscribers. And that's just one of our many channels. Just our channels have 4 billion views altogether. Fan channels, YouTube, back when I was still able to talk to one of their vice presidents, they partnered with us a few years ago and weren't in contact with us, but he got moved somewhere else and doesn't talk to us anymore. But he was the #2 guy at YouTube. We talked to him many times. Said that they were able to look at all the numbers, and it was, this is like 5 years ago, 5+ billion political views. That's the biggest political channel on YouTube because I let everybody post our videos. So they want to shut down, and Facebook, Google, Twitter is all announcing together this week that they're going to start censoring us more because they're moving against Trump. They're moving against the Make America Great agenda. They're moving against us reestablishing sovereignty, reestablishing borders, cutting taxes for the middle class, bringing back the hundreds of billions of dollars in corporate taxes that the big corporations lobbied to make it prohibitive to have corporations here domestically to move our jobs overseas. That's what globalism is teaching Americans to sit down and shut up via economic warfare, bringing us to heel. Remember Hillary said blacks are super predators? They've got to be brought to heel. Well, that's just her view of everybody. You read the WikiLeaks, it's all about keeping their constituents down, keeping them poor, keeping them desperate, keep them in the dark, and calls you basement dwellers. She says you live with your parents, and she says you're baristas who want everything free and that she's not going to give it to you because it isn't there. But she'll still tell you it's there, and then you get mad at her when she doesn't deliver it to you. It's only there for her. So you go to Bernie and you say, give us all the free money. He says, I'll do that. Yeah, just like his wife took over disabled shelters and threw everybody out on the street and sold it, just like she took over colleges and bankrupted it, but not before she got millions of dollars for herself and her friends. These are pigs, just like Venezuela, just like North Korea. You think Kim Jong-un is going to give you some free stuff? See, once they get control, they go, hey, I'll give you something free forced labor till you starve to death. Now worship me or you don't get any food. The problem is just a little bit of free market creates so many choices, so much decadence that we turn into retarded slobs. I don't know a liberal poverty pimp that isn't running bank scams and isn't ripping off poor people and isn't managing a big group of helpless people under their control. That's what these vampires do. Bernie Sanders never worked a stinking day in his life. He's a big, evil shyster. And he knows it. And he hates you. But you don't care. You want to get suckered one more time, don't you? Libertarians and conservatives, on average, pay 3 times what anybody else pays. We're 6 times more likely to give to charity and 9 times less likely to steal and give tips, on average, 4 times the size of a Democrat or a liberal. Don't believe me? University studies are replete. Democrats don't give tips. Democrats don't pay good wages. You get to be interns. You never get anything because that's how they want to keep you. Because they ran the plantations, they ran the KKK, they ran the sharecropping, and they run you real good. And they got the Republican blue blood scumbags, psychopaths that are just as bad or worse. And they're working with them to screw you over. It's a big club, to quote George Carlin, and we ain't in it. The American club is about trying to set something up where it's not about what elite you're from or how you manage a government contract or how you get a monopoly, but what you really produce. And then that raises the bar and everybody starts excelling. Best thing that ever happened to me was growing up in Dallas and having quite a few rough scrapes. I look back on that and it was so formative, so good, so wonderful. Now I almost died a few times, but that which doesn't kill us only makes us stronger. As Victor Hugo said, adversity makes men, prosperity makes monsters. And you've got these nihilistic people that have no idea what they're even dealing with. We're going to play something very special that Darren McBreen and Walker put together. One of our great Ravage people, Walker, that takes that video from last week that now it's got like 20 million views, and it's been written about in hundreds of newspapers, that has sent us a whole new fan base of young people, kind of breaking into the whole PewDiePie sphere. We put together a version where everything I say is documented with video clips, news articles, except for one thing McBreen forgot to put in, which is fine. I say they want to eat babies, and I have mainstream news, Daily Mail, Associated Press, China taking dead babies they kill that are one child. They have a girl, they drown the baby, then they turn them into powder, and then it's injected into women's lips as collagen, into women's faces, into women's butts, men's faces, butts. There's a lot of metrosexual men and things now. And we didn't put an article up there about baby parts wrapped in gold foil out of China caught going into Europe, or children killed under one child in China turned into collagen. We didn't show that. That's the one thing in retrospect, in hindsight, that we didn't add. But so I'm just as a proviso or a epilogue, just adding that too. There it is. Thousands of pills filled with powdered human baby flesh discovered by customs officials in South Korea coming out of China. That's just one article. So here, for radio listeners, you'll just hear the song. You can go to Infowars.com/show, or later it'll be archived. It's up on Infowars.com, the video itself right now, where we took the Super Deluxe Time Warner hit piece that's been seen 20 million times now. Biggest hit they've ever had on Super Deluxe. Their other biggest videos just have 1 million views or so. 20 million on their platforms last time I checked. 20 million as of Friday last week when it went up at 9 a.m. So we're about 7 days and a few hours into this. 20 million, top video on the internet last weekend. And we've now taken it and we added documentation to the whole thing. It's a very important information warfare weapon. It's on Infowars.com. Please post it on Facebook. Please retweet it. Get around the censors. Copy it to your channel because they're moving to shut down our channel. Then I intend to, unfortunately, file suit against Google, the parent company, but this has to be done. And the groups involved calling for censorship. We know who they are from leakers. So get this video copied while it's still up. Here it is.
I'm angry. I've had enough of these people. They're a bunch of Christian murderers, scum. They're a giant death factories keeping babies alive and selling their body parts. What more do you need to know about these people? I go out and face this scum. They literally crawl out from under
kids.
Hillary's in the creepy, weird, sick stuff, man.
We came, we saw, he died.
She sleeps in the same room with that creepy, weird woman whose mother wears a hood over her head. What the hell? That woman number one is ugly. Imagine how bad she smells, man. I told her and Obama just stink. Obama and Hillary both smell like sulfur.
There's a guy on the radio who apparently Trump's on his show frequently. He said, me and Hillary are demons. Said we smell like sulfur. Ain't that something?
I have never seen or smelled any woman like that, ever.
People are telling me she smells.
Who could not notice someone who smelled that bad?
Literal vampire pot and goblins hobbling round from after us. My spirit gets close to that evil and I feel it go. We're such self-centered crap. We don't even notice hell itself rising up against us. Millions of pointed people of the very worst type, and I'm so pissed. We're gonna stab your daughter at the mall. Oh, oh, oh. We're gonna stab your wife, your son. We're gonna stab you with a butcher knife, and then the police chief is gonna say, we love our Somalis, we love our Muslims, oh they're so good, oh they're so sweet.
I was watching Fox News as I worked out this morning, and they had the police chief on making excuses from that town in Minnesota. And they had the Fox News host, this is the Fair and Balanced channel, going, Donald Trump really stepped in at this time. He said it was a bombing before it had officially been called a bombing, and Hillary's on him, and she's got some really good points. All right, there you go. That video's up on Infowars.com. Extremely powerful when we add everything. The only thing that you could say isn't exactly accurate. I say literal potbelly goblin demons coming after us. And I show Jerry Epstein and Bill Clinton that are known child rapists and fly around on airplanes with kidnapped kids. And I'm just saying they're like vampires. But that's an allegory. But everything else, documented. And I show the police going, we love our Somalis. We love our Muslims too. Oh, they're so good. Oh, they're so sweet. And they're stabbing people. There's even video of it. And then the police saying, with signs out, we love our Somalis in Minnesota. The answer when Somalis, stabbed like 9 people in 1 week just randomly used to go, we love our Somalis. We love our Muslims too. We love Stockholm Syndrome. Oh, it's so good. Infowars.com is under attack because we're in the middle of the battle and dealing serious blows on the enemy. But we need your hopes, your prayers, and support now more than ever.
DNA Force is finally back in stock at InfoWarsStore.com. DNA Force protects your body from the toxic environment that surrounds us all. The powerful ingredients include Bio-PQQ and coenzyme Q10. Protect yourself against dangerous free radicals. Optimize cellular energy. It's DNA Force. It's available for a limited time only. Get yours today, right now, at InfoWarsStore.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have said that we're going to have a super summer sale that would go throughout the month of July. The problem is we're running out of the Brain Force Plus nootropic. We're running out of Super Male Vitality, Survival Shield X2, and some of the other best-selling products. So I'm going to continue free shipping throughout the month of July. But in the next few days, I'm going to have to end the 30% off on Brain Force Plus, the amazing nootropic, now with 20% more in each bottle. The 30% off on Super Male Vitality, the Survival Shield X2. I just have to do it. I'll continue the sale on Secret 12, DNA Force is back in stock, the Myco ZX, amazing antifungal yeast candida in the gut and the intestines, that's back. I'm going to have to end the 30% off though because we're running low on Biome Defense. That, again, is 30% off when you get it with the Myco ZX. So you support the broadcast and you fund InfoWars that is in the eye of the storm right now and help help us not just continue, but hopefully expand in the face of the globalists. So never a better time to take advantage of these great prices of the free shipping and to support the broadcast, but only a couple days more. InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. I'll make good on the specials going throughout the month with the free shipping. We'll add some of the other items that aren't selling out or have come back into stock at 25, 30, or even 40% off. But our best-selling products, Brain Force, Super Male, Survival Shield X2, and My Own Defense, we've got to stop those 30% offs here in the next 48 hours or so. So take advantage of those again at InfoWarsLife.com. And again, for myself, the crew, and everybody else, you have forged with your support, your prayers, spreading the word, not believing the globalist lies, researching facts for yourself. You have built InfoWars. You are the InfoWar.
You gotta have the will to accept the truth and buck the system and the group collective. Do that, and you'll earn your way to the next level. This is the InfoWar.
Coming up, we have two videos, one that we produced, another that Mark Dice posted on his channel that I believe somebody else produced, that is extremely powerful. Both of them are. 6 months of Trump administration today. This is 6 months. And the contributions, the successes, the devastation of the globalist, the untying the bowling ball that was tied to our leg, the ball and chain. It is just amazing. And he's only done this with executive power. He's been completely blocked by the horrible, sycophantic, cowardly, evil rhino slime bags. And now, with Scaramucci as communications director and Spicer scurrying off, leaking to the New York Times, look for Priebus and others to be next. And the word is, this signifies a hardcore turn to even more of Trump's base, which is the restoration of this republic. That is all coming up. Stefan Molyneux is going to pop in. Michael Caputo of the Trump campaign being persecuted. Going to give you big exclusive breakdowns on the secret testimony that they're now using the fact was secret to lie about him. Mark Dice, Mike Cernovich, and so much more today. This is going to be a transmission. But before we go any further, we need funding. The enemy's after us. We got great products. See, to fund ourselves, I sell really great products at very affordable prices, so you like them, and you use them, and you want to order them more. See, I don't think like a globalist. I treat you how I want to be treated, and you treat me like that, and I love you. You're awesome. It is such a pleasure that they want to destroy us, and they can't because you support us, and you pray for us, and you spread the articles, and you buy the products, and you just absolutely are committed. Oh, you're awesome. It's just unbelievable how we rub it in their faces and how our will's stronger than theirs. Ladies and gentlemen, we had to end the super male vitality, super female vitality, the X2 and the Brain Force because they're selling out. And I don't like to just do discounts so good that we're sold out for a month or two before more comes in. There's a limited supply left. Sign up for auto ship, get additional 10% off. But now, we only do this a few times a year. 66% off Silver Bullet. It's $24 in stores for the very same colloidal silver. We just private label it from the big national top manufacturer, 30 parts per million. 66% off retail. $9.95. Strawberry Caveman just got in. 25% off. Caveman Combo with chocolate and strawberry. 25% off. Super Silver Special. Silver Bullet, colloidal silver. Super Blue Toothpaste, colloidal silver, fluoride free, and iodine. Power Toothbrush, which is an amazing electric toothbrush that has impregnated silver in it as well. 50% off retail. That's almost a loss leader. So I can tell you right now, we buy those toothbrushes for $11 and sell them for $20. And at 50% off, that's a loss leader on the toothbrush. I just want you to see how cool they are. Pro Pure Traveler, 30% off, $132. Blows away all the other major gravity-fed filters that sell the same type of unit that isn't as good for $225. Pro Pure is amazing. Infowarsstore.com. Alexa Pure Breeze, amazing. Air filtration system, comparable units are $400. They were like $1,000 a few years ago. They're all getting cheaper because of miniaturization of technology. But $200 is a great deal. $149.96, 25% off retail. Usually we discount to $189. That is devastating price right there. Amazing. Vitamin Mineral Fusion, 33% off. Knockout, 50% off. Prostagard, 33% off. Conservatism is the new counterculture coffee mugs, 33% off. Myco ZX, 46% off, even though it's a bestseller, because I want you to see how great it is. 46% off on the other side of the equation of probiotic. That's Myco ZX. DNA Force, 20% off. InfoWarsLife.com. Support the operation. Savage the enemy. Victory. Break their spirit. Never give up. We're going to stop killing the babies. We're going to crush the Satanists. Yes.
Do you remember Dennis Hastert, the longest-serving Republican Speaker of the House in history, also the highest-ranking U.S. politician to be sent to prison? Hastert was a small-town wrestling coach in Illinois when he was what Judge Thomas Durkin of the federal court described as a serial child molester. Because of the statutes of limitations for acts in the 1960s and 70s has run out, Hastert was not charged for any of the sexual abuse he engaged in, if you can believe that. He did go down for illegal hush money, to the tune of at least $3.5 million. He was fined $250,000 and sentenced to 15 months in prison. Hardly justice. But now, the serial child molester is free once again, after serving only 13 months. Judge Durkin also said, there's nothing more disturbing than having a child molester and Speaker of the House in the same sentence. I disagree. There's nothing more disturbing than a serial child molester being free after only 1 year in prison. Won't see that on CNN. For Infowars.com, this is Owen Schroyer.
Leading a frontal assault on the lies of the New World Order, it's Alex Jones.
I'm beginning a new effort to fix as much of our immigration system as I can on my own. I've also directed Secretary Johnson and Attorney General Holder to identify additional actions my administration can take on our own within my existing legal authorities to do what Congress refuses to do and fix as much of our immigration system as we can.
From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
Having trouble with John McCain? Just say a prayer. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. This is the Info War. Done dirt cheap. Let's get back to all the big guests we got coming up today. But first, Trump getting rid of Spicer, bringing in Anthony Scaramucci. Devastating victory for America. That signifies that they're about to clean house. And that Trump knows they're coming after him and nobody's going to compromise with him, and that the deep state is got a big raging you-know-what for him. Here's a powerful piece from Internet Land. I'm going to find out who made it. I was just posted to Mark Dice's great channel. He's joining us later. But we've got our own 6 months of Trump video coming up later as well that we produced. But here's this one. Here it is.
From this day forward, a new vision will govern our land. From this day forward, it's going to be only America first. America first. Think of the marvels we can achieve if we simply set free the dreams of our people. Because in America, we don't worship government, we worship God. All the nations of the world, friend or foe, will find that America is strong, America is proud, and America is free. A better future is only possible if your nations drive out the terrorists and drive out the extremists. Drive them out of this earth. Today, gathered with friends, I call upon all people, Jews, Christians, Muslims, and every faith, every tribe, every creed, to draw inspiration from this ancient city, to set aside our sectarian differences, to overcome oppression and hatred, and to give all children the freedom and hope and dignity written into our souls. I will always stand with the Jewish people, and I will always stand with our great friend and partner, the State of Israel. The people of Poland, the people of America, and the people of Europe still cry out, we want God. And above all, we value the dignity of every human life, protect the rights of every person, and share the hope of every soul to live in freedom. That is who we are. Those are the priceless ties that bind us together as nations, as allies, and as a civilization. Our citizens did not win freedom together, did not survive horrors together, did not face down evil together, only to lose our freedom to a lack of pride and confidence in our values. We did not, and we will not. We will never back down. The men and women of the United States military have been the greatest force for peace and justice in the history of the world. Every time you see the sun rise over this blessed land, please know your brave sons and daughters pushed away the night and delivered for us all that great and glorious dawn. It's time for a grateful nation to join hands with our police and with our sheriffs to build the bridges of cooperation and trust and to make our streets safer for every man, woman, and child in America. I am asking all members of Congress to join me in dreaming big and bold and daring things for our country. I am asking everyone watching tonight to seize this moment, believe in yourselves, believe in your future, and believe once more in America.
Good luck, globalists. Good luck trying to overthrow that.
Every morning before I start writing or shooting a video, I take 2 capsules of brain force for a sustainable burst of energy. This is, without question, the most powerful nootropic I've ever taken, and it comes without any of the crashes or the jitters associated with energy drinks. It's additive-free, nothing artificial. It's Brain Force Plus. Read thousands of 5-star independent reviews right now and get your Brain Force Plus at InfoWarsLife.com.
Ruthless offshore elites use their corporate liberal media to attack and demonize any Americans or any independent news that dare challenge their lies. 5 companies own over 90% of the media. And that's why, whether it's comedy shows, award shows, Hollywood, TV entertainment, the news, it doesn't matter. It's all focused in one anti-American, anti-free market, anti-family, anti-Christian, anti-gun voice. And it gets worse. These ruthless social engineers have an iron grip on our educational system and are teaching our children to hate America and that our president is worse than Hitler and needs to be assassinated. But as America reawakens, these powerful deep state rogue government forces are beginning to panic. They've even got the former president on television and in the news and traveling to foreign countries, bad-mouthing America, bad-mouthing sovereignty, and calling for a resistance to our elected president. In a last-ditch effort, mainstream media is now legitimizing the use of violence against anyone that opposes the globalist takeover and against anyone who's actually trying to make this nation great again. They are absolutely intensifying their efforts, screaming homophobe, xenophobe, racist, to make them march, to make them go out on the streets and assault viciously anyone trying to exercise their free speech. International criminals like George Soros are openly pushing for civil insurrection in America that will lead to civil war. The beatings, the stabbings, the shootings, the burning cars, the looting of shops, the execution of police officers, all of this leads to the destabilization, to the martial law that the deep state and the globalists say they need to bring in their final takeover of America. We are America, and we are the InfoWar.
DNA Force is finally back in stock at InfoWarsStore.com. DNA Force protects your body from the toxic environment that surrounds us all. The powerful ingredients include Bio-PQQ and coenzyme Q10. Protect yourself against dangerous free radicals. Optimize cellular energy. It's DNA Force. It's available for a limited time only. Get yours today, right now, at InfoWarsStore.com.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance. You're listening to Alex Jones.
Well, it doesn't matter if it's the Financial Times of London, or whether it's the Washington Post, or whether it's the Economist magazine or the Harvard magazine, they all say globalism is collapsing, people are turning against it. We're not turning against internationalism or being a citizen of the world if you want to live all over the world, or working with other countries or accepting other cultures if you choose to adopt them. But we're not going to be ruled by a secret TPP ratified in secret for 10 years that our own governments couldn't see. We're not going to be ruled by carbon taxes that bureaucrats and Rothschild and Rockefellers and Soroses make money from. Story out today, future of globalism shaken up by Trump victory, nationalist political earthquakes. It doesn't mean Brexit's perfect. It doesn't mean Trumpism is perfect. It means it's about taking the power back to the people, back to the states, back to the government. Bigger politically is always worse, always more authoritarian. And Stefan Molyneux is a businessman, author, researcher, very popular radio, TV host. Really appreciate him joining us for the next 30 minutes. freedomainradio.com. Stefan Molyneux on Twitter. Free Domain Radio on YouTube. Hundreds of millions of views, reaching tens of millions of people a week. I wanted to get him on like a week ago just about the general state of the world, what's happening, but now we have Spicer out. Spicer being out, folks, from my sources, as we told you, that signifies the populists are even stronger now. With Scaramucci coming in, they're getting ready to clean house. Trump's putting this communication guy in first with the rollout. He knows deep state's coming after him. It's on. So we'll get Molyneux's take on that. 5 more years of EU migration cabinet victory after agreeing soft landing transition period that will delay UK getting its borders back as the EU announces 10 million Muslims have come in the last 6 years. Worse than I thought. Most of them military-age men. This is the globalist takedown. Now they've announced an EU Navy. And the Italian government's blocking citizen groups just going on and showing how the Islamists come out 100 miles off the coast. They get picked up and taken to Italy, and then everything's paid for. This is a plan to force Islamify Europe. I didn't believe this 10 years ago when I heard it from people. It's really happening. It's so insane. But Peter Sutherland admits it's the plan. So we'll talk about that as well and other big subjects here with Stefan Molyneux. Stefan, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Alex. Great to be back.
Which one of those 2 biggies you want to tackle first?
Well, I would like to talk about the globalism thing as a whole, because I think there's this massive change that is occurring wherein I think the Trump administration has figured out that it is not the mainstream media that is going to be setting the agenda and determining the popularity of their candidates and their sort of voter-facing people. I think that they're recognizing that the alternative media is where the real action is and where the real mind-shaping is going on, because people come to people like you and I because they get something different than the verbal diarrhea of the mainstream media. And so I think that there's a reorientation. Spicer was big on regime change in Syria. He was hammered by myself and other channels, and he's out and Scaramucci is in. Now, we'll see how he does. I certainly think he's going to be better than Spicer, but I wouldn't underestimate how much impact we're having in reshaping this narrative and having people remember that there's something about local pride that beats this communist globalist nonsense.
And that's why they're in free fall panic when every week now we have videos with 5-10 million viewers just on InfoWars, one video. You have videos with millions of viewers routinely, always 500,000, 600,000. You spend 20 minutes, you're done, 500,000 watch it. That's more than the average CNN show. They now realize it, though. And this week, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter all launched massive censorship and admitted they are. They said, oh, we're doing 10 times worse than last year against conservatives. But I'm not really a conservative. I'm just a common sense free market guy that doesn't want to live in North Korea.
Well, here's the thing. There is an old principle, Alex, which is that people who spend their time being ostracized, people who spend their time in the wilderness, people who are out learning to eat the stony lichen in the desert, they get stronger, leaner, and meaner. And the left has gotten very lazy because they've owned academia, they've owned the mainstream media, they've owned television, they've owned everything that you could conceive of, and they've been importing all these immigrants to reliably vote for the left, which means they've lost their edge, they've lost their strength, they've lost their charisma, they've lost their capacity to connect with the American public. And we really saw that with Hillary versus Donald Trump. And because they've gotten lazy and they've lost their charisma, they've lost their mojo, now all they can do is scream Russia over and over again and think that that somehow is going to win the American public back, when what it's doing is just driving them further and further away. As the old saying goes, let us never, ever interrupt an enemy when he's in the process of making a mistake.
That's my next question. I want to get back into globalism. Sure, there's an intellectual awakening happening, back to common sense, but they are cornered rats. So what are you concerned about? What do you think their next move will be?
Oh, yeah, well, their next move is always escalation. Their next move is always to, and you can look at this as far back as the French Revolution and so on, but their next move is always to spread lies, rumor, and slander in an attempt to discredit people who disagree with their narrative, but more importantly, to whip up frenzy, hatred, and violence against those who oppose the leftist paradigm. The left is fantastic at being the Iago-like whisperers of sinister facts to the mob, to the point where crazy elements within the mob start to play out a very violent and dangerous agenda. And we can see this happening against Trump supporters at the moment.
Sure, hashtag hunt Republicans. Hashtag hunt Republicans. And you're right, they are escalating that, so where is it going?
Well, I mean, either they're going to succeed or they're going to fail, and I'm damned if I'm going to stand by and let them succeed, because like yourself, I'm a father and I want my child to grow up with the kind of freedoms that I enjoyed, maybe even more. So we just have to stand firm, we have to be courageous, and we have to recognize that we are in a war for civilization. Nothing more, nothing less. This is the greatest battle for wordsmiths in the history of the universe. We're not at the place where it's bullets and bombs. We're at the place where it's words and ideas and arguments. So if you're good at doing that, or even if you want to become good at that, you are conscripted. Philosophy, reason, evidence want you to take your place in the front lines of the culture war. It is now or never.
I think that's the most important thing you've ever said. I mean, this is the 21st century war. This is the new kind of war. They're admitting it's a war. They're admitting it's a civil war. And there was, quote, right-wing problems decades ago, and still the establishment right-wing is just as bad as the liberals. But intellectually, the resistance is by the libertarian mind versus the statist mind. And most of the classical liberals are now libertarians, and they recognize that. But there's an accelerated dumbing down of the constituency that is pro-globalism, where I go out to these events, and it's not like a few of them look like they escaped from mental hospital. The entire whole of them are frothing, insane people out of some type of Day of the Dead movie, and I don't take pleasure in that. I am frightened by it. Who are these people?
Well, this is the constituent that has been bred to be dependent on the bloody fruits of state power. The state reaches into the pockets of the productive, as you know, keeps a good portion of proceeds for themselves, and then uses it to buy votes and dependents from now a couple of generations of people dependent on state power. So when someone comes along and says we need to limit and control and reduce the size and power of the state, people think that they're going to starve to death, that they're going to die in the gutter. They have become dependent on the state to the point they can't imagine living without state power. Now, they can when welfare or food stamps get reduced, people just shrug and get a job. But that fear, that hump, we need to help them over that hump and help them understand how much better they'll be off without this dependence on state power, how they'll have pride and productivity and self-respect and happiness, which they're not having right now. But like every addict, if you try and take away their drug, they know in their heads they're going to be better off if it's taken away. But in their hearts and in their guts, they desperately don't want to lose it. And we just have to help them overcome that fear, overcome that hump, and sell them on the happiness they'll have when they're free for the first time in their lives.
I want to be specific, because you raised the fact that you're a father, I'm a father. I'm not bashing people that don't have children. I have a lot of great friends that don't, and I understand sometimes why they don't, or or issues, or whatever the case may be. But no one, it turns out, the EU government has kids. I mean, it's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Almost none of the leaders do. And when you look at a group of hundreds of people and then none of them have children, you sit back and you go, wow, these are the most self-centered people. And it really is, the dichotomy is people that have a connection to everything and really think of humanity as a continuum, and people that literally are so nihilistic, all they're thinking about is themselves. And I think that's really the disconnect.
Well, you have to understand that you're part of a chain of freedom. You know, one of the worst things to happen to modern economics was this Keynesianism idea from John Maynard Keynes, who was gay and didn't have kids. And he basically said, oh, yeah, you just got to spend your way out of recessions. Oh, and don't worry, the government will then save when there's economic growth. And of course, all that was it gave theoretical justification for the endless printing of money, the endless borrowing of money, the endless bribery of the general population. And people said, well, you're going to keep accumulating debts. They said this to Maynard Keynes. You're going to keep accumulating debts. What's going to happen in the long run? And apparently he turned and snapped back and said, in the long run, we're all dead. Well, if you have kids, that's not how you think. Because you know that your kids are going to be alive, your kids are going to have to live in the world that your ideas are creating or destroying, and so you want to fight for their freedom. It gives you a ferocity around the encroachment of state power that I think is hard to replicate otherwise.
You're right. We're going to come back with a final segment here in a moment and get into the political wars. But my view is, even if they end up destroying Trump, which I don't think is going to happen, we've already had devastating victories just against political correctness, showing that we have unelected systems. I mean, just this movement and Trump just being a focal point of that, I think really has wrecked the crony capitalist model. I mean, it's still in place, but it has no credibility, and the power is draining out of it daily.
And they have become lazier and lazier, as I mentioned. And what we need to remember is we have to think, what would the left do if they had power? And we got countless examples of this throughout history. And Hillary Clinton promised this. She promised that she was going to consider any made-up cyber attack from Russia to be the provocation for World War III. She was going to go after freedom of speech. She was going to import millions of state-loving mass immigrants from the third world. So what are they going to do when they have power? When they have a little bit of power, they ram through Obamacare. We have to be as resolute.
That's right. Stay there, Stefan Molyneux. In the last week of July, we are offering the biggest sales of the year. We're extending free shipping until the end of the month and expanding discounts of up to 60+% off on incredibly high-quality supplements and nutraceuticals at InfoWarsLive.com. Our top-of-the-line colloidal silver bullet is only $9.95. That's 66% off retail price and way lower what you're going to find from comparable brands in major stores. Then we've got our Super Silver Oral Care package at 50% off. We've never offered a deal this good. This trio includes Silver Bullet Colloidal Silver, Super Blue high-quality fluoride-free toothpaste, and an electrical high-quality toothbrush that's impregnated with colloidal silver, all for 50% off the regular price. When it comes to gravity-fed filters that cut out all the garbage, ProPure is the best, and we've got a whopping 30% off on the ProPure Traveler for only this week as well. Alexa Pure Breeze is 25% off the already low price. We haven't offered this deal in over a year. The Alexa Pure Breeze has been a game changer since it came out 2 years ago. Comparable units cost as much as $800. This unit isn't even a third of that price, and it's discounted right now at InfoWarsStore.com. Vitamin Mineral Fusion with amino acids is 33% off the regular price. And again, there's free shipping on top of all of this, but only for the last week of July. Knockout, our proprietary sleep aid that fuses 9 known compounds from Mother Nature, is a whopping 50% off right now. But again, only for one more week. It's got L-tryptophan, it's got melatonin, it's got valerian root, and more. Normally, one bottle of melatonin, just as strong as the melatonin in this bottle, is the same price or more. Prostagard is 33% off as well. Leading competitors that don't even have as much Saw Palmetto are up to $50 a bottle. It's $19.95 right now, and it's not just Saw Palmetto. It's fused with other compounds that are known to be associated with overall better prostate health. The Paul Watson coffee and tea mugs are 33% off as well. Conservatism is the new counterculture. And now introducing, new to the InfoWars store, our new strawberry caveman bone broth formula with turmeric, bee pollen, chaga mushroom, and so much more. If you thought the chocolate tasted great, wait till you try the strawberry. And of course, there's also 25% off out of the gates on the new formulation of Caveman. You can also get 25% off when you get the strawberry flavored Caveman with the chocolate Caveman. And don't forget, there's an additional 10% off on top of all of that when you sign up for anything on AutoShip at InfoWarsStore.com. So it's a true 360 win. The globalists have been striking back against independent media that's attempting to build an open, free society. But despite all their attacks, all their demonizations, and their attempts to take our sponsors and shut us down, you, the viewers and listeners of InfoWars, have come through. And so we're able to maintain our position and begin to expand it in the face of the globalists. Ladies and gentlemen, when I tell you that you are the InfoWar, that's not me being patronizing. You are the reason we're here. When you spread articles, when you spread videos, when you pray for us, when you financially support us, and in turn get high-quality products that make your life better, it is a true symbiotic relationship, or as I say, a total 360 win. So in the month of July, we've had some big specials. And a lot of the products that we were having as specials have sold out. That's why in the last week of July, I'm going to offer specials on some new products and on some of our best-selling staples to you, the viewers. And on top of those specials, we're extending free shipping. Great historical analysis on his website, on his YouTube as well. And I found he's one of the people that is effectively getting liberals who actually are somewhat intellectual to realize they're in a cult. Because they always go, oh, you're just a Republican. I hate Paul Ryan. I hate neocons. I hate all these people. Trump's actually trying to end the al-Qaeda forces that Obama and Hillary created. He's actually trying to have peace with Russia. And they're demonizing him. They're coming after him. And I just wish we could actually reach out to the peaceniks and somehow get them to realize this is all a fraud. Even Alan Dershowitz and even Jonathan Turley, who are classic liberal lawyers, say this whole thing against Trump's a total witch hunt. And it's so dangerous because the Democrats have said they're not going to stop with this. They're talking about civil emergency, overturning the whole elections, and then coming after everybody. So the stakes have never been higher. Stefan Molyneux, looking at that, I mean, I don't know how to state the level of history we are at right now. I mean, I cannot overstate that to folks, that we are at such an epic moment.
It will never, ever in human history come down to as important a moment, Alex, and I really want to get this across to your listeners. If the state wins, if the globalists win, if the communists and the socialists win, capitalism has delivered unto them such monitoring and control and video technology that it is entirely possible we will never, ever be free again. It comes down to this. We have the technology to communicate free and peaceful and voluntary ideas across the world. They have the technology to control everything we do, to monitor everything we do. They're talking about bringing in monitoring of the internet in the UK and so on. If we lose, we may never, ever win again. There won't be some big cycle of history and your great-grandkids will be free. It comes down to now. They would use every tool in their arsenal to win, and they're trying it. We must use every legal tool in our arsenal to fight back, take no prisoners, push forward every agenda, challenge every relationship, push forward, because it's now, literally, or never, I strongly believe.
I'm speechless. That is 100% total veritas. They even brag. They call it the end of history, where they're going to use all the technology to suppress the normal turning, the normal cycles, to end Renaissance, consolidate total control. Schmidt and Zuckerberg, all of them, as you know, Bill Joy warned people. He's one of them, but he said it's very immoral what they're doing. They're going to have a breakaway civilization, put us into total squalor, use it to control us, and then use the fruits of the human mind and open society that has given us almost godlike powers to shackle us. I mean, this is unspeakably evil. What do we do?
Well, we recognize that with something like the betrayal of Brexit. Brexit, as you know, Alex, was about one thing and one thing only, which was controlling immigration. And 80% of white British people wanted control of immigration. 60% wanted it enormously reduced. Why? Because when the immigrants from the third world move into England, British people, white people have to move out. And it never goes the other way. It's a one-way street where the places you can live in England if you're white get smaller and smaller and smaller. They voted for it, and the elites are now saying they are disregarding what it is that people vote for. To hell with the will of the people. We're going to do what we want, and it's going to be 6 or 7 years before we even talk about limiting just EU borders. And more immigrants came in from non-EU countries to the UK than EU countries. They've declared war. They said the will of the people don't matter. It doesn't matter anymore. What do? You have to start protesting. You have to start getting out there. You have to recognize that this is an emergency. There is no DEFCON level higher than what we are facing right now. You need to pull out all the stops, get all the information you can. You have a global communications network. You can tap into at any time. You can challenge people in your life. It is down to this, because if we don't solve this peacefully, the kind of weapons that we have, if it turns to war, might end the entire planet.
And the great evil is that they're not trying to reform Islam. They're taking the most radical orthodox forms that are just totally brutal, anti-woman, you name it, to the 10th degree, and then using it as their new shock troops and admitting in their own publications that they're allied with it. This is madness.
Well, they have no interest in diversity. This is something so important. The left sells diversity so that you will accept people coming into your society that will relentlessly vote for the left. They don't care about diversity at all. Try being not on the left and getting a job at a leftist university or a leftist mainstream media outlet. Try being a non-leftist and writing for television. They have no interest. You heard the stats. 96% of voters, of Washington reporters donated to the Hillary Clinton campaign. They have no interest in diversity whatsoever. Diversity means for them, shut up people who aren't on the left, shut up white people, and accept your subjugation. Well, I say no to that. End to the lie of diversity.
And they're not helping. They're not helping the, quote, brown people by blowing up free market and blowing up Christian civilization that brought everybody in. Again, the globalists are in competition.
Do you remember when the leftists used to care about the poor and they used to care about the working class? Mass immigration drives down the wages of the poor in America.
And it doesn't help the migrants. It drives them down too. We've got to build up through free market globalism, those countries through free association. Wow. Stefan Molyneux, thank you. Always enlightening, but today was extremely powerful. Wow. We'll be back with Roger Stone. Wow. That was just, oh man.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Since the time of Hippocrates, the father of modern Western medicine, in 420 BC, the ancients have marveled at the power of whey protein from milk and cheese. That's why I'm so proud to announce the latest addition to the InfoWars Life family, True Whey Protein from InfoWars Life. It's produced right here in the United States of America under the strictest high-quality organic conditions. Our True Whey Protein from InfoWars Life contains a whopping 20 grams of protein per serving. We went out and did massive research and found the very best company and facility to develop our whey. And it took us years to finally get contacts with some of the larger, most respected companies to bring you a super high-quality whey protein at a very reasonable price. That way you get the benefits and the taste of high-quality whey while supporting our information warfare operation against the globalists. Doing our research, one thing continued to really stand out. It's not just that cows and their milk are associated with the best, highest quality protein, but also that those cows be grass-fed. That is essential. And all of this whey protein comes from grass-fed happy cows. This is the very best way that we were able to bring to market. Please try it for yourself and tell us what you think. Again, thank you so much for all your support. It is True Whey from InfoWarsLife.com. Of the 30-plus proprietary products that we've developed for InfoWarsLife.com, DNA Force is the flagship. This highly advanced formula has been sold out for close to 6 months due to a worldwide shortage of these sought-after ingredients. Today, I'm very excited to announce that we have received a limited shipment of DNA Force, and despite the fact that we have been sold out for close to 6 months, I'm still discounting it 20% because I want listeners and viewers that haven't tried DNA Force yet to actually get a chance to see how amazing it is. You can't lose. You support the InfoWar and get great products at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139. DNA Force is back in stock. You can get an additional 10% off when you sign up for auto ship that you can cancel anytime. InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. And again, thank you for making the InfoWar possible. You are the InfoWar.
Every morning before I start writing or shooting a video, I take 2 capsules of Brain Force for a sustainable burst of energy. This is, without question, the most powerful nootropic I've ever taken, and it comes without any of the crashes or the jitters associated with energy drinks. It's additive-free, nothing artificial. It's Brain Force Plus. Read thousands of 5-star independent reviews right now and get your Brain Force Plus at InfoWarsLife.com.
You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
Came in last night at 10:30. That baby of mine wouldn't let me in, so move it on over. Move it on over. Move it on over. Move it on over. Move over, little dog, cause the big dog's moving in. She's changed the lock on our front door. My door key don't fit no more, so get it on over.
Sean Spicer it on over.
Scoot it on over. Move it on over. Move over, skinny dog, cause the fat dog's moving in.
That's right.
This dog house here is mighty small, but it's...
This country was on death watch when Trump got elected. His rhetoric, I knew, was devastating him. Just that rhetoric alone reintroduced nationalism, common sense, free market, anti-globalism. I said, well, that's positive, but if he goes sideways, I'll expose him. I mean, that's what I'm used to doing. I'm ready to attack. Default. You're a globalist. You're selling people out. Trump has done way better than I thought he could do. But they're coming after him even harder than I thought they would. Now we learn Obama was ready for martial law on Election Day. It's New York Post. They're looking at COG and having a civil emergency to remove him and saying it on CNN now and MSNBC. They're getting ready to go operational. And they got Mueller over there. 98% of his money going to the Democrats. Everybody on there except him, appointed by Bush, just as bad as Democrats. Everybody on there appointed by Democrats, brought on are Democrats. I mean, this is incredible. We're talking to Roger Stone about what this means. He popped in earlier with us, but he's got more intel now. We had him on 3 minutes after the Spicer resignation was brought out. Little Birds told me months ago that if Spicer left, that it would be Priebus, and that would trigger basically a palace coup by the Patriots, and that into that vacuum, folks like Bannon will really be able to get even more done. But already, Trump just totally syncs with Bannon because Trump is a patriot. Before Bannon was, fighting the globalists 30 years ago, Trump was fighting NAFTA and GATT and all the rest of it. So this is a big day. This is a big deal. And Mueller moving is forcing Trump to move. I mean, the crimes of Hillary are legion and confirmed and just left alone. Trump's done nothing, so now they've got the biggest fishing expedition of any president ever against him. All of his associates, all of his campaign people, all their finances. Hell, they admit I'm in the dragnet. Let's go. Let's get these subpoenas going. Let's go. I'm going to testify in public, though. I'm not testifying in secret with Congress. We have a man joining us who did testify in Congress coming up in the next hour. Stone will ride shotgun with us a little bit to introduce Michael Caputo. They had him testify in secret, then lied about what he said and won't release a transcript. That was the trap they had for Stone, but they knew Stone was going to get the information out one way or the other. And so they chickened out last week and brought in Caputo. So that's coming up. Caputo sent by the CIA into Russia to keep Yeltsin in power, and they used that file on him to claim he's a Russian agent with no evidence. That's who these people are, ladies and gentlemen, we're dealing with. So it's a war within the deep state, make no mistake. Now, briefly, before we go to Stone, we're running a special to the end of the month, free shipping. I extended those sales, but I ran out of the X2 and the Brain Force and the Super Male and a bunch of other products. By run out, we're down to like 300 bottles, 400 bottles of those. And we're talking a month until some of these things come back in. So they went back to regular discount that's 10%, not 30 or 40%. But keeping true to my promise, I'm adding a bunch of other items on because I said I'd keep big specials going to the end of the month. Silver Bullet, 66% off, $9.95. It's private labeled, same stuff sold in Whole Foods for $20 to $24, $9.95. Strawberry Caveman, the ultimate bone broth formula, is now in. We had chocolate before. We still have chocolate, naturally flavored, totally organic, super high quality. The chaga mushrooms, the turmeric, the bee pollen, the most concentrated bone broth formula from chicken out there, but not just from chicken broth. I mean, it beats stuff that's from beef bones. There can be some issues with those, obviously, so we use chicken. Strawberry Caveman is now in. Caveman Combo, get the strawberry and the vanilla together with strawberry and get 25% off. Super Silver Combo, Silver Bullet, colloidal silver, Super Blue fluoride-free toothpaste with colloidal silver and iodine, and an electric-powered toothbrush, 50% off. And I can tell you, we get these toothbrushes, depending on when we buy them, for $10 or $11. So there's 50% off. The toothbrush is at cost or I lose money. So that is an amazing deal. It has colloidal silver impregnated in it. Alexa Pure Breeze, an amazing unit at $218 normally. It's $149 right now. We normally discount at $189, but they overproduce at the factory here in the U.S. They're great patriots. And when they came out with these a few years ago, the units were still $800. They've driven prices down of comparable units down to $400. The exact same technology, exact same cubic feet of air, cleaning your house. Amazing system. The latest technology, $149. If you want these for your house, one will do a big room, 4 or 5 for your house, supports the broadcast. We make like $20 on it. That's a loss leader, basically. Alexa Pure Breeze, 25% off, $149. We never offered it for that. Vitamin Mineral Fusion, $39.95. It's 33% off. Amazing. Knockout, the great sleep aid, 50% off. Prostiguard, the saw palmetto, and many other ingredients. Other brands that aren't even as strong are $45, $50. This isn't just saw palmetto, though, a big dose of that. It's a bunch of other things known to help your prostate. And the government even lets you say that, saw palmetto helps your prostate and is really good for you. And that's just, it's so well known. They demonize supplements, but even the government says saw palmetto and stuff like that is absolutely amazing. Prostiguard, again, 33% off. Doctors prescribe it to folks. Conservatism is the new counterculture coffee mugs, limited edition. Those are 33% off. Myco ZX, because I want you to try it because it's so good and it knocks out the fungus, the yeast, the stuff that other probiotics don't get. It's 46% off. Out of the gates, even though it's a big seller. DNA Force, 20% off. InfoWarsStore.com or 888-253-3139. And the globalists are coming after us. I'm not complaining. I'm in a war. We're having success. I need your support. And you're getting great products. So whether it's water filtration or Alexa Pure Breeze, there's a big discount on the water filters from ProPure. Take advantage of these specials. Support the broadcast and help us continue at this size and try to expand, because I'm hiring like 10 talk show hosts the next couple months. One of them is Roger Stone. I'm going to get his contract finally completely done and processed today, but he's on board. And a bunch of other people. But it takes money. It takes board ops. It takes equipment. We're building 2 new studios. We're hiring more reporters, more video editors. There's attrition. I had a great video editor, been here 3 years. He said, listen, I love the stuff you guys are doing, but my friends and family are so mean to me because you guys support Trump. I know people that are coming to work here. One guy from New York, I'm not going to say his name, who his wife left him over Trump. I'm not complaining, but this is like the Civil War where brothers are against brothers and stuff. This is hardcore, and I'm not going to sit here and lose this fight. We're starting to turn the tide, but we need your prayers. Spread InfoWars, spread the videos, spread the articles, copy our videos to your channel. Get them out to everybody. Conservatives, libertarians are so good. You ask permission to paint InfoWars on the side of your barn, or can we use your videos and show them at our church? It's fair use. Everything's copyright free. Use it. I just want to reach people. That's why I never monetize the YouTube channels. Even though the vice president of YouTube came to me 6 years ago and said, listen, you got 5 billion views, but only 1 billion of them are on your channels at that time. It's much bigger now. This would be, millions and millions of dollars a year. He said, we think it'll be 3-4 million a year if you just let us monetize with bots, everybody. And I said, I'm sorry, I'd rather have 4 billion extra views than have $3 million or $4 million. And I'm not complaining, oh, I don't have money. I mean, that's money doesn't come first here. Money is energy. Once you got a decent house and medical care and decent cars and some clothes, I mean, I've been wearing the same 2 blue sports jackets for 5 years. They're getting holes in the elbows. I got to get new ones. And it's not like I'm sitting there. I just don't care about things, okay? I don't worship them. I worship truth and justice in God and want to defeat the pedophile army. I want to crush them. They're trying to destroy me. And I'm not scared of them. It's animating. I can barely control myself. I love it. I'm going to get them. I'm going to get you, and I'm going to win. Yeah, I'm crazy. You bet I am. I know what you are. I know what I'm up against. God's going to give me whatever energy or will I need to destroy you. So the stronger you get, the stronger I get. And you realize that, don't you? I'm never going to turn loose of you. I'm going to get you. You understand that, scum? You're going to pay for everything you've done. Now, Roger Stone, let me settle down, give you the floor for this segment. Please cover the waterfront, my friend, of what this means today with Spicer leaving and the latest info you have since you joined us 1 hour ago. Is Roger there?
Oh, yes, kind of like the last time the President of the United States called you. I'm walking through TSA. You're going to have to give me a minute.
Okay. So that's what happened. Yeah, one time Trump called me when I was going through the TSA. Ridiculous. I literally said to the TSA, excuse me, it's the president. And they all knew who I was. They said, yes, sir. So I just stood there in the TSA line by the scanners and talked to the president. That's another thing where you don't want to be uppity, you don't want to be a celebrity, you don't want to be powerful, because I don't care about all that crap. I'm not a narcissistic person. It's about what the media says and all the rest of it. I'm confident and bold, so people misconstrue what it is. But it is kind of fun to say, sorry, I'm talking to the president right now, and then they know who you are and believe it, go, yes, sir. It's just bizarre. He's going through the line right now. Roger's working double time today. We'll go back to Roger here in just a minute. Let me play a clip here that lays it all out. I want to play Newt Gingrich again. Newt Gingrich, Mueller's law firm gave 99.81%. See, I knew I was saying 98, and something told me that was wrong. The Democrats get 98+%, 98.6% for the Federal Elections Commissions in the 2016 election. They give 98.6% to Democrats. I'm sorry. I misspoke earlier. Mueller's law firm gave 99.81%. And then that's true, according to the Federal Election Commission. 99.81. 99.81. Here's that clip.
The Mueller investigation has so many conflicts of interest. It's almost an absurdity. The law firm he comes from gave 99.81% of its donations to Hillary Clinton last year. That's right. 0.19% went to Donald Trump. The people that he's been hiring are all anti-Trump lawyers. Several of them have very bad records of hiding information from the defense. And one case was rebuked.
Full clip on Infowars.com. Roger Stone at the airport. Roger, please continue. Since we talked an hour ago, I know we talked to you just minutes after the news was announced of Spicer. What's the latest intel?
Well, Alex, it's I think one of the most momentous weeks of the Trump presidency. Not only did the president essentially express a lack of confidence in Jeff Sessions, but we have evidence of a White House shakeup that's been long in the works. I just think that we're about to have a sea change.
And what do you expect, knowing the players, that sea change will bring about?
Yeah.
Again, Roger Stone joins us from the airport. Have you gotten any more intel since we talked an hour ago? The wonders of cell phones not working too well right now. While we get him back, because I know he's got breaking news, let's reconnect with him. Have him do the trick where he flips his phone to airplane and back on. That usually gets you a better signal. He doesn't, I don't think, understands that trick. Because you get in a complex area with a lot of phones on, it'll all kind of downgrade you so that everybody gets a little bit of cell. And the way to cheat that, because it is your service, not really cheating it, the way to get around that is to turn your phone on and off, or to put it on to airplane and turn it back on. I want to play this Mark Dice report. Trump's been president for 6 months, and now he's made it great again. That's coming up. I want to get some of these other clips on record. Here's one. Austria, pork banned from schools because Muslims complain. You don't see pork getting banned out of schools because Orthodox Jews complain. And again, I don't want to sit here and bash Muslims. They're the ones everywhere they go that make you comport to them. They're the ones that make you go along with their system. They're the ones that make you change. And here's the deal. I'm not doing that for any leftist or any Muslims or anybody else. Understand? So here is the clip.
Parents in Austria have got beef with the authorities after pork was given the chop from kindergartens. It's been missing from menus for 5 years. But now it's been spotted, Austrians are in a stew over it. The authorities claim children simply prefer chicken and carrots.
The dish was dropped due to health reasons, among other things, the needs of Muslim children.
But that's one line that's left a non-sweet, all-sour taste in parents' mouths. And those polls say they now strongly oppose the decision. Despite the mayor's claim there's been no official decree, it's still news some are finding difficult to digest.
I cannot really see a reason why the mayor of Salzburg is denying Austrian children access to normal Austrian pork dishes. Pork dishes are part of our culture. If somebody wants to live here, actually, they should respect our culture. There's the one side who thinks we should pursue a kind of appeasement strategy to accommodate Muslims in Europe and to make sure that they feel like at home. And others who think, wait a minute, this is Europe, this is our country, these are our countries, we are not Muslims, we want to keep our identity, so this is part of a major political conflict. There is the strategy of the Muslims is to call any criticism on them Islamophobia. And now, especially left-wing politicians are almost very much afraid of being called Islamophobic.
You know, it's crazy. Vienna is known for its pork dishes. In fact, that's where you get some of the names for pork dishes is after the name of the city, Vienna. I guess Vienna means wine country in its definition, but if you look at Wiener Schnitzel and things, that means from Vienna. Hammered pork, hammered beef, and lightly breaded. This is how it works. And here in the U.S., they're taking pork off menus. In Illinois and in some areas of Michigan, areas of New York, everybody's got to bend over backwards for the Muslims. And then we get to have Linda Saussure lecturing us constantly. Stone's going through TSA. We'll get the latest info from him, or he'll come on later with us. I know he's about to get on an airplane. And we also have his friend coming on who was in the Trump campaign and then just testified in Congress secretly. Then they demonized him and lied about him. He's going to be joining us coming up in the next hour. And then Mark Dice will also be joining us. But Michael Caputo is going to be coming up as well. And I've got a ton of news I haven't even gotten to yet. Positive thinking could extend your lifespan. Just believing you're healthy cuts your risk of early death by 71%. If you watch all the TV ads and drug ads, it's like you're going to die, you're dead, cancer's everywhere, everyone's dying, blah, blah, blah. And it actually is increasing. That's why I'm exposing that they're pushing it to actually cause it. Stone was detained by TSA for talking on the phone. Absolutely. You can't trust in America. And he's not wearing a burqa. Shot Congressman Representative Steve Scalise was actively seeking to stop pedophilia. He had come out and said human trafficking is easy as ordering a pizza. That's code word to us, letting us know he knows. It's over 10,000 arrests of pedophiles, several thousand that had kids in cages. Hundreds in L.A., hundreds in San Francisco, any major city, hundreds. So we now have Scalise, we learned weeks ago, is coming out saying we're going after the pedophiles. Then this happens. Here's the clip.
This week, the House took strong actions to stand up for the victims of human trafficking, passing tough bills to provide them protection and to target child predators. Let's work together to get these bills signed into law.
And there were over 400 pedophile arrests in his state just alone last year. Now, Again, you've got Huffington Post writers, it's all at oneinfowars.com saying, it's time for organized resistance. You've got other writers, major papers saying, too bad there weren't more of this guy. Matt Bracken, what do you make of the situation where we're currently at? Because you've been accurately predicting this, and they are really gearing up for it, and it's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
The left-wing mainstream media is absolutely instigating it. You could almost say stage managing it, with the help from the Democrats in Congress. Gateway Pundit has a great story up today about the New York Times article in April 12th this year.
I saw that yesterday where they advertised where they are and that there's not much security.
Right. So for a guy like Hodgkinson, who left Illinois as a killer, but the New York Times handed him the information, this is where to go, where they'll have very minimal security. It said, that maybe some Capitol Police sitting in a black SUV at the ballpark. Well, that gives you another, 350 degrees of a big fenced-in area away from the black SUV where you can take your shots from. So the New York Times should get an assist on this hit. They absolutely should get credit for it. And it's so ironic because the paragraph above the paragraph where it says, that they are practicing at this field, it said, well, security officials are very cautious about giving out details because they, say it could compromise security. And in the next paragraph, the New York Times says, wink, wink. But if you really wanted to get a bunch of congressmen with that much security, here's where you would do it. Imagine if Fox News or Breitbart or InfoWars had done an article on Hillary Clinton's security. And in this article about Hillary Clinton's security, mentioned, let's say, a tennis club she liked to go to with only a close friend.
Exactly. Oh, here's where Hillary, goes once a week to play bridge. Right here at the corner of this, there's not much security. There'll just be one car. So if you just come into the alley, you can get her right there. If you're driving too fast.
I got a star on my car and one on my chest.
A gun on my hip and the right to arrest.
I'm a guy who's a boss on this highway.
So watch out what you're doing if you're riding my way.
If you break the law,
you'll hear from me, I know. I'm working for the state. I'm a highway patrol.
Well, you know me when you see me cause my...
Old Junior Brown bringing us in. Remember when that old boy used to live in Austin? You just go down to the corner, honky-tonk, and watch him play. Now he's a big old star. Moved out to Nashville and Hollywood.
I'm just doing my job.
I'm a highway patrol. All right, let's get serious here. Roger Stone is in the TSA line. We'll see if he's with us the next 5 minutes. If not, we'll talk to him this weekend or tonight on the Nightly News. The stock market started going down yesterday after 6 months of going up. Of course, it started going up as soon as Trump got elected, so I guess 8 months of it going up to its highest level ever, and hundreds of billions of new jobs, thousands of companies coming back to the United States, 69% reduction in illegals coming across the border, massive deportations of people that have committed felonies, something Mexico and others do as well, but when we do it, it's supposedly pure evil. Killing TPP, renegotiating NAFTA and GATT, killing the carbon tax, defeating ISIS, 95%. Breaking the back of political correctness, standing up for religious freedom. But see, Time Magazine, the establishment, said she's Madam President. And they don't lie. She's our president, at least according to them still. They were supposed to use this whole woman thing, like, we're going to get rid of free market, we're going to bankrupt you and your family, we're going to take your guns, we're going to get rid of our borders, but it's okay because mommy's in charge now, big mommy. The Merkel model. The Deutschland model. But now, Mueller comes out and says, I'm doing a fishing expedition into all his finances, all his family, all his associates, and all of his campaign. I'm going to see if Russians ever bought a condo from him. Oh my gosh, I bet a lot of Russians bought out of their hundreds of properties. Oh my goodness. And the stock market started going down yesterday and today. And the Federal Reserve announced, we're going to increase interest rates even more because the economy's growing too fast. Well, it's sputtering. There they are. There's Mueller and there's Janet Yellen. Oh, there's a recovery in the crib. it might get on its feet. Here, let's take a pillow and put it over baby's face. But Trump's strong little baby, he's kind of fighting the pillow off and snorting some air down. And they're like, oh, we better slit his throat. After all, we're big mega banks. We're liberal. We're Apple and others that make our slave goods in China at factories with suicide nets. Everything's liberal. So the stock market's going down now because this Mueller thing. This is unprecedented. Roger, what does Trump need to do right now to Mueller? I mean, the guy is completely doing the biggest fishing expedition ever. What does Trump do?
He should first fire Rod Rosenstein, the Deputy Attorney General who gave us Mueller upon his own authority with direction from no one. And then he should fire Mueller and challenge all comers at that point to impeach if they think they have ground, which they don't. This is a benign tumor. This is a time bomb in which the fuse has already been lit. Mueller will find some bogus charge against the president in the hopes that they will win the House in 2018 and therefore have the votes to impeach.
And they admit that's their plan.
Yes, pretty much. I mean, they have yet to find a crime, so they're going to seek to manufacture one. Now, looking into the finances of the president and his family prior to the time he was a candidate for president, on what authority? It just shows you the desperateness of the ruling clique and the neocons to remove Trump before he, God knows, makes America great again.
Stay there before we have our next guest on, who was in the secret committee hearings in Congress, being accused of being a Russian last week. Stay there, Roger. I know you're at the airport, but do 5 more minutes with us because this is such an amazing time. Folks, tell people to tune in.
CNLive.com.
It's an info war. It's do or die.
It's Paul Joseph Watson, and the T-shirt has finally arrived. Nothing triggers safe space snowflakes more than this slogan and my face. It is the new T-shirt from InfoWarsStore.com. Conservatism is the new counterculture. You've seen how much this triggers the safe space snowflakes. The left controls culture. They control arts. They control entertainment. They have the complete monopoly on culture, which is why conservatism is the new counterculture. We are striking back in the culture war. This triggers snowflakes like nothing you've ever seen in your life. You've seen how much they absolutely hate the image of my face and that particular slogan, conservatism is the new counterculture. This T-shirt is not only a conversation starter, it will trigger the holy hell out of leftists. It will make me incredibly happy. It's available right now. Get yours at InfoWarsStore.com.
Leading a frontal assault on the lies of the New World Order, it's Alex Jones. Take you live to the Central Texas Command Center and the heart of the resistance. You're listening to Alex Jones.
All right, we got 5 more minutes left with Roger Stone. Then his associate, another evil patriot that helped bring the country back from the brink of destruction, who just testified secretly in Congress last week, will be joining us. In fact, we may just keep him on a little bit with us. He's now telling us via text message so that he can help me interview Caputo. But continue. I mean, this is obviously Trump gearing up, realizing that the fuse has been lit on this metastasizing cancer. How long does he have?
Well, Alex, first of all, let me apologize to the listeners. This reminds me of when the president called you when you were trying to go through TSA at the airport, and there's nothing so officious as a Canadian with a badge. So I apologize for the disjointed nature of this, but I've got a few minutes here, and I really think we're reaching a crucial point here where Mueller and Rosenstein have to be discharged. This is a lingering malignant cancer, as I said earlier, The president has his support, I believe, among the American people right now. Everybody's ignoring the rising economy and the other leading indicators that show that America is on its way back. They don't report it, but I think the American people are beginning to feel it. I think the president's never been stronger. And this was a plot by Rosenstein. This was their fail-safe. They want to do nothing short of reversing the results of the 2016 elections. What they could not accomplish at the ballot box, they now want to accomplish by fiat.
And they now admit that. What do you make of the New York Post reporting that Obama had a martial law plan for after the election, had the military standing by to basically take over the state houses?
You know, many patriots said this before the election, and many of those were people who were well-connected sources of InfoWars. I had a tendency to discount it at the time, but I was completely wrong. The arrogance, the sense of entitlement of the neocon left is beyond anything I've ever seen. They were going to save the country by declaring martial law and suspending all the Constitution and all our civil liberties, just in case Donald Trump won.
But they choked.
I guess they did choke, but that's because his win had to be so overwhelming. Look at it this way. As you pointed out earlier on the program, we just have the tip of the edge of the massive voter fraud that went on. If you calculate that into the election returns, you will begin to realize that Trump won so overwhelmingly that they could not steal it.
It was such a mega landslide, and Hillary reportedly, now confirmed, collapsed that night, and their own people just said, this is too crazy. This woman's insane. The Pentagon was going to fight him on it, and so they backed down. Now they're trying to reorganize. It's not going to work.
I think that's exactly right. And we know that they began pushing the phony Russian delusion within 48 hours of the election. The arch criminal John Podesta, bad news for him yesterday. The Russian company associated with Putin that gave him 75,000 very valuable shares he didn't disclose in his required financial disclosures with the U.S. government, has collapsed. And they say Trump was in bed with the Russians? No. It was Podesta, Hillary, Bill, Chelsea, Tony Podesta in bed with the Russians. Their phony narrative is collapsing before our very eyes.
It's just wild. We're going to go to break. We're going to introduce a gentleman who was where you were going to be last week testifying. They chickened out on you and had their secret testimony to only slander our next guest. Stay with us, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Alex Jones. Infowars.com is our website. PrisonPlanet.com is the backup. StoneColdTruth.com is Rogers. The enemy hates it when you tell people about the website or you spread the link. It's forbidden fruit.
I'm Millie Weaver, and you're watching Flyover America, an InfoWars original series, where we're going to be traveling around the United States talking to Flyover America, the people who feel like they have had their voices ignored by their government, by the mainstream media, and by the people on the coast. So we're going to be talking to the deplorables, finding out why they actually supported Trump. So come along with us on this journey as we discover Flyover America. Throughout our travels, we will be making scheduled stops to talk with those who want to tell their story. Like us and follow our progress on Facebook at Flyover States of America for meeting locations, updates, and even sneak peeks. And if you have a story to tell, come tell it. I'm Millie Weaver, and you're watching Flyover America.
I am very proud to announce the introduction of the highest quality InfoWars Biome Defense Probiotic. We wanted to come out with the largest spectrum of high-quality, known probiotics that have been proven to improve overall digestion and health and detoxification in the body. Biome Defense is an exclusive blend of 50 billion live and active cultures from over 23 different probiotic strains that are known to support digestion and intestinal function. Our researchers are confident that we have been able to develop what will be the leading probiotic on the market. Secure your biome defense in ultra strength or regular strength at InfoWarsLife.com today and get started supporting your digestive system naturally. We've been testing this formula for years, but this is the limited first run to the public, so please take advantage of it today. Support your own health and support the InfoWar.
Just 6% of Americans say the Russian collusion conspiracy theory is important. The Daily Wire pointed out that in a Bloomberg survey polling Americans on what they feel is the most important issues concerning the Trump administration, 35% said healthcare, 13% said the economy, 11% said terrorism, and a measly 6% said President Trump's relationship with Russia was an important issue for them. Then why does the mainstream media spend so much time focusing on the Russia conspiracy theory? Simple. They want to undermine the Trump presidency to appease their bosses, the globalist owners of major news corporations. You see, the best forms of propaganda spread through deception, and the mainstream media role plays as objective journalists while pushing a globalist agenda. But don't take it from me. Just look at the Bloomberg article that accompanied the poll. Americans feel good about the economy, not so good about Trump, the headline read. No, really. The top 3 issues that Americans find important are the top issues that President Trump ran on during his campaign. The mainstream media hates Trump for bringing back Americana in the belief in national self-determination. And that's why they keep pushing the Russian collusion conspiracy theory, which CNN's Van Jones even admitted was a nothing burger. This is Kit Daniels with Infowars.com.
Place.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance. It's Alex Jones.
Notice the scumbag Democratic Party and the MSM that gave 98+% of its money to the Democrats in the last election. Notice that they call themselves the resistance now to Trump and us. No, it's the globalists, it's the crony capitalists, it's the special interest that wrote Obamacare to screw people over, and Trump's just trying to get rid of it. They're the ones that wrote the TPP in secret. They're the ones that put us into NAFTA and GATT one-sided deals and the carbon tax that only we had to pay. And Trump's saying that's all over and our economy's coming roaring back. So Mueller comes out with the biggest fishing expedition ever, beyond witch hunt, and says everybody Trump knows, all his associates, all his campaign people, any media affiliated with him, we're going to dragnet everything of their financials. And they said McClatchy, including me, I have zero to do financially with Trump. But they don't care. Everybody's a Russian agent, including Michael Caputo, who did a great job in the campaign. And then who we heard constantly was connected to the Russians, even though I knew months ago when his name was being thrown around that he worked to keep Yeltsin in power for the U.S. government. That wasn't secret info. It is secret who obviously runs that, but it's not now. It's got 3 letters in its name, but that shows how keeping Yeltsin in power, he's now a Russian agent, when that was U.S. policy of the Clintons. So Michael Caputo joins us. We've got Roger Stone at the airport riding shotgun because he's an expert on this. It was Stone and others that told me a long time ago. Anthony Scaramucci, they've been trying to run him out. He goes in as communications director. Get ready for all the neocons and the moles to be taken out and removed. Spicer just jumped ship. Notice the New York Times had the scoop first, and the Daily Beast, he was leaking it all to them first. The only misjudgment of Trump was not getting rid of him sooner. Good Lord. Good Lord. Michael Caputo, again, testified in secret. They asked for it. Stone was going to do it, but they canceled it. They won't give him a transcript. But now, they're putting out supposedly what he said, and then suddenly not having him back on the cable news shows so he can respond. So here he is at InfoWars, Michael Caputo, politicsny.net. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks, Alex, for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you. Please just tell folks what they need to know about the committee and why you're in major news publications like the Washington Post. Former Trump campaign consultant warns president's surrogates away from House intel probe.
Well, I'll tell you, I went into this thing with my eyes open. On March 20th, Representative Jackie Spear of Oakland, California, brought my name into a live, televised, open House Intelligence Committee hearing, and also brought my wife into this for some reason I still can't figure out. You know, my wife is Ukrainian, not Russian, and anybody knows anything about world politics, they know that Ukrainians are, if you're married to a Ukrainian, that is not an avenue toward Putin.
No, it just means you have good taste in women.
That's right. Well, she apparently is not really well apprised. I bet she couldn't tell Ukraine and Russia apart on a map. But she went out there, dragged my wife in, so I immediately moved to, I insisted that I wanted another open hearing on television, live on television to avenge my wife and to set the record straight, but they refused to give me an open hearing. In fact, they're refusing to give any of us an open hearing now, not even Roger, Paul, Manafort, or anybody. And so I decided to cooperate anyway. I'm excited to get my 2 cents in to try to prove this Russian delusion is a false narrative. I went in there. I actually thought it felt pretty fair. I mean, the Democrats were assertive, not aggressive. Representative Schiff was not rude to me. He treated me like a gentleman. I had high hopes for the results of this. I fully disclosed that I had absolutely no discussion with any Russians during the campaign, that I knew of no discussion with Russians. We didn't even, speak about Russia even once during the entire time I was with the campaign. I feel it's an insult, but it's also impossible that Donald Trump would even consider doing such a thing, or even allow it in his midst or around him. This kind of treason. He wouldn't allow it. So I thought it was a solid meeting. And then after, when I come out, Jackie Spear couldn't be bothered to attend. In fact, only 4 members attended, 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans. Jackie Spear couldn't even be bothered to attend. But when she got back to Washington after having her weekend in California, she decided to tell CNN that I may have lied under oath at the committee hearing, even though she didn't attend, and there still is no transcript not available to her or to me. So that speculation is a violation of the confidentiality of this process. It's certainly a violation of House ethics. And I'll tell you, even though I felt good about this in the beginning, my advice to Roger Stone and everybody else in this whole situation is to stay away from a closed hearing, because it's really just a rigged game.
Well, I agree, and I've got your statement printed out here. If you've got it, you're welcome to read it out, because again, they want to do this in secret. Even back when they had the Red Scare hearings, which I think got out of hand some, but there were real communist Russian Soviet agents back then, and 15 years ago, the Russians declassified a lot of their files and showed that McCarthy was pretty much on target. But I do think he violated some people's rights. But he did those hearings in public. This is so next-level cowardly to do it in private, keep the transcript secret, and then let people selectively use the transcript but not give it to you, the accused, while Maxine Waters and everybody runs around insane, saying, quote, if you talk to a Russian, you're a Russian agent.
Yeah, it's amazing just how foolish this has gotten. And I'll tell you, yesterday morning, my attorney, I sent a letter to the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence telling them that we want my transcript released to the public now, unredacted, unclassified. We didn't discuss anything that we thought was classified. We want that out there so I can have Representative Jackie Spear point to the section where she thinks I lied. I mean, how would she know? She wasn't there, and there is no transcript, so she's operating just on her own, delusions. But if they don't do it, I can't see how this could be fair at all. Listen, it's entirely possible that Representative Jackie Spear is the Fredo of the House Intelligence Committee, and that all of her brothers on the committee are upset about how she's embarrassed the family. And they can send her out to Vegas, whatever it takes to get her out of the mix. But Fredo has messed this up now. And even though she's the dullest knife in that drawer, they need to do something to fix it. And the only way to get my reputation back is to reveal that testimony in its entirety and have Jackie Spear point to the section where she thinks I lied.
It's incredible. I mean, this is criminal in our judicial system and our congressional legislative system if they don't do this. I've studied our political system, and I can't find times where there are closed-door sessions and then they don't release the transcript to everybody and then accuse someone of lying and then not say where you lied. It's beyond Kafka.
I agree with you, but I got to tell you, I think even Representative Schiff and Swalwell and others, they probably are pretty upset about this because it puts the lie to their entire process. If they are trying to pull a rigged game and make it look like it's fair and decent on its face, like they were to me in the hearing, she just blew their cover. this thing is rigged. There's no question about it, because she said that, read me out on CNN earlier this week, calling me, saying that I may have lied in the hearing. She just, all of the facts that she read out around as she was discussing me on CNN were also flawed. I mean, she doesn't even get her facts straight. She said that in 2004, in a guest op-ed in the Washington Post, that I had said that I had worked with Vladimir Putin. Also another lie. If she read that op-ed in 2004, she would have understood that.
Just because they read something in a fake newspaper like the New York Times or Washington Post doesn't mean it's true. I mean, I've got right here, Madam President, where Hillary got elected president, according to Newsweek magazine. It's not true. I saw you on Tucker Carlson, and from my research, the whole Russiagate, it was absolutely the best testimony I've seen, where you talked about, of course the Russians are trying to influence. Everybody does. We do it. I was sent in by the Clintons to actually keep Yeltsin in power. Rehash some of that.
That's absolutely true.
Rehash some of that, but also, why were you picked when clearly you have a great record of serving this country? Why were you just picked out of the air to be the sacrificial lamb?
Well, I'll tell you. You mean for this hearing or to go to Russia?
Just everything. Yeah, the whole Russia conundrum.
Well, I'll tell you. I was in 1994. I had worked as one of the press agents for Bush Cleo 92. We had gotten beaten by the Clintons, and the wall had fallen, and I had worked for many years in the Reagan doctrine programs, trying to have put away this kind of communist conspiracy internationally, and it was interesting to watch it all fall. And I wanted to go watch it fall in Russia. I didn't know much about Russia, so I told the agency that I was available, Agency for International Development. I may not have been their first choice because I was a Republican, but I was, I came with some credentials working with youth. I had worked in Rock the Vote, United States, trying to get young people to vote. And the real problem in Russia was that young people who were all supporters of Boris Yeltsin were not voting.
You were a young, successful political operative that worked with MTV, right. You name it, bipartisan. They sent you in.
Right, and so I started, my first job when I went in there on behalf of the Clinton administration, paid by the United States Agency for International Development, was to help develop and pass an election law that would bring democracy about in Russia. It was a difficult process. I did it in several states of Russia as well. Once we got the election law passed, I went to work to get Rock the Vote Russia going, trying to get rock and roll bands to get involved in a program to promote voting as a civic duty for young people, because we knew that young people were 85% pro-Yeltsin. It was very successful. It was a great...
Sure, so how did they turn that, and obviously above your agency, that program was known to being run by the State Department and CIA, so they have your file, they know exactly what you did. Let's speak to that, please, because they're the ones trying to drag you in.
It's really just about sound bites and getting another story out there and trying to extend this bogus Russia collusion delusion as long as they can. That's all it's about.
So they're so desperate, they go after people that are part of State Department, CIA programs to keep a pro-America guy installed and democratize Russia, and that's your clear pedigree, and they turn that around that you're the best they've got as the proof of Russian collusion.
Well, also, Alex, that was in 1990. In 2000, when Vladimir Putin took over the reins of the Russian Federation, I moved home to America. Now, I did a couple more things on behalf of Russian companies, but I never did any work for Russia, for Vladimir Putin. And Representative Jackie Spear's initial insult to me was that I was Putin's image maker. She absolutely doesn't understand Russian politics, U.S.-Russia diplomacy, and doesn't understand what PR is about or who I was representing and when. But it was just about extending the bogus Russia delusion as long as possible. Meanwhile, my wife and I are enduring death threats from people who hear her talking about me as a traitor on national television, and it's just getting worse and worse. I'm not going to sit around, Alex, and wait to be the next person who gets shot by a Democrat campaign volunteer who's all twisted up about this bogus Russia stuff.
By the way,
I'm not waiting around for that.
Exactly, Michael Caputo, the reason I raised that is I have these people come up to me and scream, F you, Russian spy. Once me and Roger were doing an interview in a hotel lobby, it's on video, the guy walks up like he was bowed up, and I bowed up, and I said, let's go. And, of course, he backed off. But these people are crazy. Let's bring Roger Stone in, who's sitting on the line. I wanted to hold him over because he's an expert on this as well. Roger, what are some angles I haven't hit with Mr. Caputo?
Two simple reasons. One, because he's been in Russia, he lived there. And secondly, because he had a pregnant wife. There's no evidence whatsoever that ties him to any connection or communications with the Russian state or any Russian nationals during this election. Sadly, the other reason I think they targeted him because he is a longtime trusted friend of mine. We worked together for Ronald Reagan. We worked together for Jack Kemp. And I know he is a solid guy with a very big following at WBEN there in Buffalo, where he does conservative commentary. But this is nothingness. They had no probable cause, no reason to drag him before the committee other than to smear him.
Well, also, the cover of Time has Donnie Jr. on it with a little Hitler mustache they put on, and it says, caught red-handed. Russia's not red anymore, but it's also been the Democrats that were always in bed with the Russians when they were communist. I just don't see this dog hunting. Michael Caputo of PoliticsNY.net, the latest target of the whole Russia hysteria. Folks just joined us. He testified in secret in Congress. It was supposed to be in secret. No transcript was given to him, and now they have a congresswoman who wasn't even there running around saying he perjured himself. True defamation, where a man can't even defend himself, but he's here doing it, despite the fact there's no record. He's called for the record to be released. 6% of Americans in a Gallup poll last week think Russia is important. 90+% believe it is a hoax. Don't the Democrats know this is a losing narrative?
Well, I'll tell you, I don't think it matters to them at all. They've lost all reason in this situation. I mean, this is really a very successful gambit on their behalf to try and delay the president's agenda. He hasn't been able to get footing on a lot of important issues because of this Russia collusion delusion. And the problem, I think, is they don't know how to stop. Somebody's already gotten shot because of their strategy, Representative Scalise and others on that baseball diamond in Alexandria, and they're pretending they have nothing to do with it. And somehow or another, the media is letting them get away with it. It's going to happen again. Somebody else is going to get shot because these people are spinning up their base. They're frothing up their base, and they know they are. And always, when you froth up your base, the bad apples are going to come to the top, and they're going to buy guns, and they're going to shoot people. And I'm tired of her running my name and my wife's name out in the middle of all this with absolutely no proof, and now by violating the confidentiality of the hearing process. Nobody should go before the House Intelligence Committee in a closed hearing at all, because they are going to get the exact same treatment I got. They're going to get set up, at least by Jackie Spear, if they let Fredo back in the hearing room.
The minutes we have left with you, since you raised that, here's an example of what they do. Trump's walking around at the beginning of the G20 meeting, a week and a half ago. He gets out of the limo, goes in, there's a refreshment area. He walks over, shakes Putin's hand in front of cameras. Everybody's shaking each other's hands. He shook 30-something hands walking in of other world leaders and their wives and dignitaries and ambassadors. He walks over, they talk a few minutes. They say that's dirty and evil. Then he has his meeting. They imply that, he did a horrible job and he was a traitor. When he has the Russian ambassador to the White House, which is normal, they say it's a secret meeting. He gave up secret info when it had been in the news 2 months that the ISIS is using laptop bombs and been in the cover of USA Today. So he says, hey, let's work together to stop ISIS. That's known we're doing that. Then, on the last night, the G20 seats him next to the Japanese leader. His wife gets seated next to Putin. They wave and talk to each other across it. He goes over and talks to them in front of everyone about pleasantries, and they call it more sedition or espionage. So you're right. The agenda isn't sold with the people, but they don't care. It's about hobbling the president with the bureaucracy where he can't engage in foreign executive operations, and where he's suspect if he talks to the Russian leader at a public dinner that he's supposed to. I think he should do his own meeting in Reykjavik like Reagan did with Gorbachev and get it in everybody's face and break the back of this. What do you say?
I think they should do some one-on-one basketball shirtless. I don't care what they do. The one thing Lavrov says, they may have had more meetings. They may have even gone to the bathroom together. It's ridiculous. Let me tell you something, Alex. One thing most Americans don't know is we have hundreds, quite literally hundreds, of Russians who are now Russian Americans, people who had emigrated to the United States, who have the highest level of security clearance in our government, in our law enforcement, in our intelligence agencies, in our Treasury Department, all over the place. And they're doing yeoman's work. They're doing excellent work for our country. They're as loyal as anybody else. They are Russian American, and they have top secret special information clearances. And if someone talking to a Russian waitress or someone waving across at each other across the reception of world leaders is evidence of collusion, then we better start looking at our own intelligence intelligence agencies, our own law enforcement agencies, our own administration departments with with excellent Russian American.
Well, let's expand on that. We've got a great person who came here when she was a little girl from Russia to get away from the communism. She was in Army Special Operations, highest level clearances, but again, she can't be trusted either. See, because she's an evil Russian.
It's outrageous, and if this doesn't sound more and more like the McCarthy hearings, I don't know what it does. I mean, I'll tell you, when I sat in that hearing, I had not talked about it because they asked me not to, even though Jackie Spear has already talked about it. I've talked to my attorney. Maybe I'll start releasing more information. But the one thing that did happen in that hearing is they asked me a long litany, a list of names. And they asked me, do you know this person? Do you know that person? I would go, no, yes. And the longer this list got and the more I heard it, it sounded more and more like the McCarthy hearing.
Well, sure, but Trump is well known to all world leaders to pat him and say, hey, we're going to work together and try to sell him on stuff that's good for the U.S. I mean, he points at Russia, points at himself, does his hand, shaking a fist like we're together. Of course, he's saying we're going to work together because Russia's free market now. They're anti-radical Islam. What is this obsession in D.C. with continuing Russia as the boogeyman when it's the communist Chinese, the CIA admits, have 100 times the influence of the Russians?
Alex, I'll tell you, if Disney World in Florida were some kind of an evil incarnate, they would be wiping the floor with Disney World right now and Mickey Mouse because Donald Trump once went there. It doesn't matter who this is, whether it's Russia, Mickey Mouse, Venezuela, Fort Wayne, Indiana. They will tar the president with whatever they have. It doesn't matter what it is. They got some traction with the Russia thing because the negativity that's out there.
And it's all they've got, and they're not going to stop pushing.
That's it. That's all they got, and in the end, it's going to dissipate to nothingness. But as you mentioned at the top of the broadcast, they're already expanding this investigation well beyond Russia. And that's where it was all.
That's my final question, and please come back. What do you think, Mr. Caputo, Trump should do? I mean, I think he should fire Mueller, fire the Deputy Attorney General, all of them.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm a little dicey about firing Mueller. I do think that he should separate this investigation, all the discussions of it, out into an external unit. He's already doing that, but also stick to it. We saw too many questions about the Russia investigation and the White House press briefing. Absolutely build a wall between the two of them and move forward and start driving his agenda forward. And if Mueller gets out of line, like he's already, the president has already drawn that red line, it's time to consider whether or not this investigation.
I mean, Mueller announced he's going to see if Trump's crap stinks today. I mean,
yeah. But the question we really have to have here, these investigations on Capitol Hill are political entirely, and it's all about playing gotcha.
Of course it is. Michael, if you've got to go, that's fine. I appreciate 20 minutes. If you can come back and do 5 more and one more question from Roger, that's fine. Let me know during the break. But regardless, very important information. Thanks for giving us a window into this deep witch hunt. I'm Alex Jones, Infowars.com. His site, need to check it out. We'll give it to you on the other side. It's politicsny.net.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
We're selling a product, DNA Force, that is the very best nutraceutical that we can produce. Dr. Group, you took years for you to develop DNA Force for us.
It's been something that I've been working on for a long time, Alex, because I think it's very, very important. What the aging process is when the cell replicates, we lose a little bit of our telomeres. Telomeres are the little cups on the end of our chromosomes.
And when it runs out, you start dying.
We chose the PQQ because it has over 175 different clinical trials. It's one of the most effective substances in the world. It works like an antioxidant. It works to repair nerve growth factor.
So this is a formula to deliver the maximum amount. It's in powder form.
We have so many 5-star reviews. I take this. This is the product that I take.
Infowarslife.com, and the profit we make, we fight the globals. We fight the New World Order. Secure your DNA Force today at Infowarslife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139. Clean, pure drinking water. You can't survive without it. But where do you get it? Alexa Pure Pro is a brand new, groundbreaking, gravity-fed water filtration system that is like no other. The Alexa Pure Pro transforms water from virtually any fresh source into clean, healthy drinking water, pairing the unprecedented super filtration power of an all-new gravity block core with a hybrid chromatic shell. It removes up to 99.999% of impurities, including bacteria, viruses, fluoride, disinfectants, volatile organic contaminants, and hormones. Filter capacity up to 5,000 gallons. Stainless steel construction, easy assembly, low maintenance. Replacement filters are simple to install. And now, as part of an exclusive limited time introductory offer, you can save $20 off the retail price and get free shipping. This is a limited time offer, so order your unit today and receive free shipping and $20 off. Go to InfoWarsStore.com or call 888-253-3139.
Do you remember Dennis Hastert, the longest-serving Republican Speaker of the House in history, also the highest-ranking U.S. politician to be sent to prison? Hastert was a small-town wrestling coach in Illinois when he was what Judge Thomas Durkin of the federal court described as a serial child molester. Because of the statutes of limitations for acts in the 1960s and 70s has run out, Hastert was not charged for any of the sexual abuse he engaged in, if you can believe that. He did go down for illegal hush money, to the tune of at least $3.5 million. He was fined $250,000 and sentenced to 15 months in prison. Hardly justice. But now, the serial child molester is free once again, after serving only 13 months. Judge Durkin also said, there's nothing more disturbing than having a child molester and Speaker of the House in the same sentence. I disagree. There's nothing more disturbing than a serial child molester being free after only 1 year in prison. Won't see that on CNN. For Infowars.com, this is Owen Schroyer.
All right, Roger Stone is about to take off. This is the Alex Jones Show, so I'm going to skip the intro. Michael Caputo is our guest for a few more minutes to talk about where he sees all this going and how they're trying to block the president's agenda, politicsny.net. But, Roger, your plane's about to take off. I'm telling you, turn the phone off. Any other questions or comments for Michael Caputo?
Yeah, Michael, I'm curious what you thought of Congresswoman Spears' claim last week that she cannot be sued and that there is no way to hold her responsible for the outrageous and defamatory claim she's made against you, never mind me, saying that I worked for the Kremlin. To me, that doesn't seem right. My lawyers are examining it. I know a member is protected when they speak on the House floor, but when they go outside, when they go on CNN, for example, and say that you have committed perjury, a crime, can they be held responsible? What's your lawyer's reading?
My lawyers are looking at it as well, because as you know, both of us were trampled by her outside of the halls of Congress, outside of her office. But there is some indication that the congressmen can do whatever they want as long as they're pursuing House business. And it's not clear whether that's true or not. My attorneys are still checking it out. But she's vulnerable on a lot of fronts, Roger. You know, a lot of this stuff is an ethical violation. The things that she's doing are against the code of the confidentiality of the hearings themselves. Literally, quite literally, this is the Fredo of the Intelligence Committee.
Well, this is all part of the leaking culture. Look at Spicer leaking to the Daily Beast, leaking to the New York Times before the president even knew. I mean, what does that say about Spicer?
And, the problem we have here is that this isn't even leaking. This is point blank, flat out announcing. It's not even leaking it.
It's worse.
The matter is, there's nothing to leak because there is no transcript. There's nothing to give someone. She's basically just lying in front of
She uses the secrecy to make up the fiction.
That's absolutely true. That's the same thing she did with Roger, saying that he was on the payroll of Kremlin. I mean, the problem she has is that she lives in the delusion, and that she's trying as hard as she can to maintain a high profile through this whole collusion investigation. That's all she's got. Nobody knows who she is, and she's just really not that bright, and she's making mistakes right and left. And in my eyes, in a lot of ways, she's in the jackpot herself for the things she said about myself and Roger and other people.
Well, sure, it's like the lady on the Federal Election Commission saying I'm a Russian agent, and it turns out she gets all this money from 22 foreign governments. It's totally illegal. And Hillary going to Morocco getting $12 million while she's the Secretary of State. I mean, these people are literally what they accuse us of. Roger, we'll talk to you soon. Get that plane. Thank you, Roger. There goes Roger Stone. Michael Caputo, we were talking during the break, and I said, wow, that's powerful testimony. Can you repeat to the viewers and listeners what you were saying during the break about what their real agenda is and what coid fix things versus what they're attempting right now?
Sure. In my opinion, I think this is shared by a lot of people. The whole Russia investigation is designed to delay or even stop the president's agenda. And in fact, while the president won election in November, the Democrats have won the first year. No question. They stalled him completely. As a cynical political operative, I would say what they decided to do, they succeeded tremendously at. But as an American, I really feel fear for the Republic. In my opinion, this is very clearly it's a silent coup, if nothing else. I mean, the problem we have is this: they're not stopping. Even though somebody gets shot because of what they've done, one of their own colleagues, and they're not stopping. And from my, we look at Alinsky's book and others, the one chapter that they always forget to write is, when do you stop? When do you stop? They're not stopping. And the fact of the matter is, maybe this will burn them themselves. They'll burn themselves by going so far that they lose the 2008 elections because they've made complete fools of themselves. Or it could go the other direction and be a complete conflagration. The one thing that everyone who's listening can do that is important to do is to call your Republican representatives and tell them that you support the president and thank you for supporting the president. Because what the left is trying to do is separate the Congress from the president and make them too fearful to vote for his agenda, and it's working.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what the whole agenda by Soros is spending hundreds of millions, he admitted, sending out AstroTurf when they come back to their districts later next month to get in their face and to have robocalls and all this. So now more than ever, folks, we ask for a president to fight globalism, to defend our borders, to get our jobs back. It's happening. They're going, oh, look, he's failed at tax cuts and Obamacare. Well, not for trying. And so it's our failure not backing him enough. You want to look in the mirror, and I'm not bitching at the listeners, but here's the bottom line. I'm in this fight 18 hours a day. And I know the Russia thing is baloney because they had congressional hearings 4 months ago and again a week ago where they have armed services committees where they have people on there, former Board of Governors, FCC, saying Alex Jones works for the Kremlin and Hillary just says I do. It's like saying, that I'm a Martian and the moon's made of cheese. I know none of it's true. I know I've never gotten Russian money. I know the Russians don't tell me what to say. I've never been to Russia. And it's just very, very frustrating to sit here. It's almost comical, but it's almost like I'm in a bad dream or something to watch Armed Services Committee hearings. And then I realize, listen, this is just about intimidating people. They know it's bull. And then what do you call these un-American groups that have hijacked the country, these foreign multinational special interests, pointing at us and saying we're foreign influenced because they're the globalists. They are the outsiders. They are the subverters that don't want to make America great again. It couldn't be clearer. A final comment on that, Mr. Caputo.
Well, I'll tell you, it's absolutely true. And these are the people who are behind the Russia delusion, the ones who are delaying the president's agenda. But there's nothing wrong with the president's agenda, the White House administration. There's nothing wrong with Congress that 3 to 4% growth across 6 months couldn't fix. 3 to 4% gross domestic product. We have not had any healthy growth at all since Barack Obama was in office. He inherited a terrible economy, but he never fixed it either. If Trump fixes it, and he's working on, I'm telling you, his regulatory reform, his muscular energy policy is very promising. And if they manage to take apart Obamacare and kill the job-killing taxes that come along with it, we're going to see some economic growth. And if it gets to be in the 3 to 4% range, it's difficult to do. But if it does, he spends it for 6 months, he's back, and so is the Republican Congress.
Well, Michael Caputo, no wonder they wanted you to testify in secret because you're a really smart guy and everything you've said is documented. So we're all in this together, literally. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Alan.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. What a time to be alive. We're getting Mark Dice on the line. They haven't called him a Russian yet, but I'm sure that's coming. We got all these clips, too, where they say, literally, you can't talk to a Russian or you're a Russian agent and all the rest of it. I've got a clip here of Lou Dobbs saying exactly what Caputo was just saying. I wonder if they'll say Lou Dobbs is a Ruski. Here it is.
Your thoughts now on what is arguably the most politically corrupt department in the history of the American government. I'm speaking, of course, of the Obama Justice Department, led by 2 attorneys general, Eric Holder, who ultimately became the first sitting cabinet officer ever to be cited for contempt of Congress, and his successor, who is working on matching his record, Loretta Lynch. She, according to the fired director of the FBI, obstructed justice in ordering James Comey to refer to the Clinton email investigation as a matter rather than an investigation for the purpose of allowing the Clinton campaign to deny the Democratic nominee was under federal investigation. Today, we learned of the prospect of additional corruption on the part of the Obama Justice Department, at issue why Attorney General Lynch went to almost unprecedented lengths to permit a Russian attorney to enter the country without a visa, long before meeting Donald Trump Jr. and Jared Kushner. Not the first scandal to plague that agency, of course. This meeting took place on June 9th of last year. But it is unclear now not only why A.G. Lynch would have given her an extraordinary waiver of U.S. immigration laws, but how that Russian attorney could have been in the country some 5 months after the expiration of that so-called immigration parole waiver. The Senate Judiciary Committee is now investigating Lynch's efforts to protect Hillary Clinton and the role of not only A.G. Lynch.
Now, that's one clip. We've got another where he's on Hannity and says this is a coup against the American people, an attempt to break our will. Now, joining us is one of the most prolific and successful people, reaching tens of millions a week, author, you name it, Mark Dice, and a hard guy to get on. We're about to launch a bunch of new shows and stuff, and I want to get him to be part of some of those. But just amazing work at markdice.com. And, of course, his commentary, he's always waiting as stuff breaks to get right on it and counter them. And more, they're trying to censor him off YouTube. CNN's been trying to censor him. We're having them trying to shut down our channel right now with all these false violations. And it's just really coming to a head. And Twitter's admitting that they are about to massively increase the censorship. They say, quote, tenfold. So I want to talk about this and just the general lay of the land with media critic Mark Dice. Mark, thanks for coming on with us.
Always good to join you, Alex. Yeah, the war against the independent media continues to ramp up. They just had the Sun Valley Conference, which is basically the Bilderberg Conference of Tech in Sun Valley, Idaho, a resort town where every year the big tech moguls and media companies merge to have discussions about acquisitions, new terms of service policies. And so that's, I think, why we're starting to see some of this new censorship rolling out. Is this is coming out of the discussions that were held at Sun Valley. Sun Valley, of course, this is where the CNN Time Warner...
By the way, you were on a few months ago and predicted we'd see it after this, and I noticed they just had the meeting, and then it all happened the same day on Monday, so that you have nowhere to run, basically.
This is where all the bigwigs of media and now that tech...
How did you predict that? Because I'm impressed. How did you predict that?
Well, when all these people, when they have an annual meeting where they're going to get together and you kind of expect what their next move is going to be, that's where they're going to collaborate, kind of come to a consensus. I mean, essentially, this is one of those big elite consensus building organizations like Bilderberg, like the Bohemian Grove, which also just happened. But this is specifically focused on tech. It's not overtly sinister, but this is where all of these big shots go, and all the investors...
Well, sure, they couch it in stopping bullying, but then they have these groups that go around bullying, saying if you hurt their feelings, talking bad about Hillary, they ban you.
But yeah, the double standard is incredible, and that's part of the reason why my YouTube channel has taken off for the last year, because I started documenting the clear hypocrisy, the violations in terms of...
Yeah, service. Talk about that. I mean, they'll have a Facebook with 500,000 people for a year saying kill Trump, but we just say we don't like Hillary and our thing gets suspended. I mean, it's crazy.
You know, it's insane. I came across a very vicious video of somebody threatening police officers, and I had reported it to one of my contacts in the NYPD, who actually worked with the Trump campaign doing security for the then president-elect. And so they were investigating this individual. I reported it to YouTube to have it taken down. They got back with me, and they said, I think we talked about this before, it just didn't violate the terms of service. I mean, this wasn't just somebody espousing kind of harsh opinions about the police. I mean, it was straight up 100% threat and incitement. Yet they're taking down conservative YouTube channels. Thankfully, you guys covered the story about CNN and YouTube just pulling my video, which was a very strange form of censorship. I hadn't seen this before. They locked my previous video on private. They didn't strike it for community service violation.
The Young Turks had that done to me. We had the live confrontation, which they set up, and then suddenly our video was just private.
Yeah, so it wasn't copyright infringement because it was fair use. It was completely transformative. And so they literally just locked it on private, and they sent me an email and said that it was misleading. But my video, it couldn't get more ironic. The joke just writes itself. My video exposing CNN, just with their own words.
And for folks that don't know, tell folks about the censored video, what you broke down.
Well, I just said compiled clips from CNN from the past maybe 12 months of just showing, their tagline is, "This is CNN." So I titled the video, "This is CNN."
This is CNN.
I showed people what CNN was. I just used a bunch of different clips of them and remixed them, and it was transformative. It was a completely different product than what it was that they put out. But I think what they're going to start doing now, instead of just filing copyright strikes, because that's going to be a legal nightmare for them, and they know that some of the bigger channels are just going to take them to court. I think they're going to start using their content ID system to block videos, which has happened to me already in the past. This is the second time that it happened, where I had used a clip from a show from Jamie Foxx talking about President Obama, calling him our Lord and Savior. And it was taken down.
Our Lord and Savior, Barack Obama?
Yeah, no, again, it wasn't just uploading the clip in and of itself. The clip was used in a 3 or 4 minute video.
I've had them hit me with copyright when it's about me, 100% defended by under free speech. You as a citizen are allowed to show a clip and respond under free speech. It's totally covered. Courts have ruled a million times, as you know. But as you said, they're starting to ignore that.
So they're freaking out, which is why we saw one of their hosts, Allison Camarado, quit Twitter literally the day after Sebastian Gorka just ridiculed her live in front of their, 200,000 viewers, talking about how the fact is that CNN has fewer viewers than reruns of Yogi Berra cartoons on Nick at Night. So this woman quit Twitter. Not only did she quit Twitter, she wrote a breakup letter, Alex. But I can read part of it to you here. It is just absolutely bizarre. She literally deleted her account and then wrote this letter saying, "Dear Twitter, remember my first tweet back in May of 2009? Happy Mother's Day. My God, listen to how hopeful I sounded. Back then, I believed your promises that you would help me connect with people, that you would be an agent for good in the world, that you would get my messages out and help build a community. Back then, you surprised me with flower emojis and thoughtful comments. Back then, it was still thrilling to check in with you and see how many followers you'd brought me. Those were the days, but something happened to you. You're a shadow of your former self, the one that I was first attracted to." And this goes on and on. Now, when I first heard about this, I thought this was somebody mocking her quitting Twitter. This is her blog on CNN.com.
And now we have internal documents that came out a few months ago that Facebook and Twitter are mainly fake bots for liberals to keep them in a fake community believing, and it's really AI computers that then other people just copy and create kind of a feedback loop or an amplification snowball mockingbird deal, and they admit we want to keep them desperate and liberal and alone and pathetic, just like the WikiLeaks say.
We've been so ahead of the curve that now, finally, over a decade after YouTube has been in place, years after YouTubers like myself have used the platform to develop careers with audiences of millions of people, now mainstream celebrities, from Ellen DeGeneres to Kim Kardashian to Katy Perry, are now joining YouTube. They are becoming YouTubers. That's how much we are affecting this. That's how powerful this platform is. And this was the first election, the 2016 election, where people really realized that YouTube wasn't just for funny cat videos. It wasn't even for just uploading clips of the news. People realized that people like myself could develop a huge career and an audience of more people than watch these network television shows just using a cell phone or using a laptop. And so that's why they're absolutely freaking out. That's why they have mass demonetized channels, the ad apocalypse, where now ad revenue for news channels has dropped 90%. They want to shut us down. They were trying to go for our wallets. And so it's an ever-adapting...
That's right. Let's stay there because they're launching all the censorship. I want to get into censorship of independent media. I want to get into the latest liberal insanity, like the vagina challenge on the other side of this. But when we return, the first thing I want to get into is this. It's more than just everybody having to go to YouTube. No one likes establishment Hollywood or establishment red carpet now, except for maybe dumb teenagers or something. I don't mean all of them, but some of them. People really hate establishment stuff. And there's nothing more Americana than that. We're finding our roots again. Stay with us. More with Mark Geis. James Wesley Rawls is with us. I wanted to get him on, former Army intelligence officer, best-selling author, runs the biggest survival blog out there, survivalblog.com. So James Wesley Rawls, a great psychology expert on this. Do you agree with me that we're seeing devastating human awakening to the globalists? Huge events, but I could feel, though, their counterstrike is going to be insane, wild, and very dangerous.
Well, Alex, I think you asked where we are. I'd say we're about 1967 right now. If you look back to the 1960s and the radicalization of what started out as an anti-draft, anti-war movement, it all got started very peacefully with a group called the Students for a Democratic Society, SDS. And those protests grew more and more violent, and a lot of the people that were involved got increasingly radicalized. And then starting in the late 60s, 67, 68, 69, you saw splinter groups come off of the anti-war movement.
The Weathermen. But don't you agree, though, we're going to see an acceleration of the radicalization?
I think so. In fact, I think it can happen much more rapidly because of the rapid dissemination of information. I think within 2 years, we'll probably see overt terrorism coming out of groups like Black Lives Matter and the Antifa movement. And an amazing parallel is that if you look at the late 1960s, the real ringleaders of the terrorist campaign that took place then was a mixture of disenfranchised inner-city blacks and ultra-privileged, college-educated whites.
They're literally running the same Saul Alinsky plan, but in the 21st century.
Right. I think we're going to see them get rapidly radicalized and very rapidly transition into overt terrorism. And I think their first terrorist attacks will probably be in the cyber world. And probably then followed by overt bombings, kidnappings. If a lot of your listeners who weren't born when we were, and anyone born after about 1965 or 68 probably does not remember this whole period of time. But in the late 60s and the early 70s,
same deal, random cop killing, bank robberies, kidnapping.
Right, airline hijackings, assassinations, kidnappings, the whole works.
I agree with you, but I think it's going to be 20 times bigger than the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And I think, as you said, it's compressed, but I think the shooting of Scalise and all of this is the beginning. I understand he's a lone wolf, but I think with this ambient brainwashing for violence, it's the terrorism is being directed, just like Al-Qaeda or ISIS does it from a central deal, and then random people pick up on it and follow the blueprint.
There's a man going around taking names, and he decides who to free and who to blame. Everybody won't be treated all the same.
All right, Anthony Scaramucci gave a press conference.
Reaching down.
And he is basically replacing Sean Spicer, but they're going to keep Huckabee's daughter, who does a great job, and the rest of it. I mean, Spicer really has been leaking information out. We now know that. He did it again today. And thank God Trump's doing this, because they're coming after him. They're coming after us. We got this little segment, then 5 more minutes with him after this, because then we've got Mike Cernovich coming up. I'm going to play some of the Scaramucci press conference with Mike Cernovich. I'm going to co-host a little bit with Mike because he likes it. Mike's going to be hosting his own show 3 hours a day coming up in September. David Knight starts next month with the morning show. And I want to get Mark Dice involved as well, coming in a couple times a week or more if he wants, to air the great pieces he's doing. But I want to get back into the death of mainstream media and the fact that that's already happened. But used to, I wasn't really into Hollywood, but I'd still go out there. You'd go out there. You know a lot of the folks as well. But it went from just not being a big deal to my audience hating it. Even if the Hollywood person was a patriot, they're sick of it. And I don't want to really go to movies anymore. More and more people I know are just sick of all the fake glitz, sick of, all the garbage. We're just, at a certain point, we're just turning away from it. And I think the establishment realizes that.
Yeah, MTV News has failed. They've just tried to remodel themselves. Obviously, their YouTube channel can't even get literally 1,000 views on some of their videos with big, well-known, and formerly well-known celebrities and musicians. They went full-blown social justice warrior. CNN is failing. MTV.
Yeah, they have shows like Dear White People, where every episode says whites are inherently evil.
Vice News is laying people off. The CNN app has, last I checked, a 1-star rating. Everything that these mainstream media folks do, it only ends up backfiring because there is a resurgence of true Americanism, true conservatism rising, and we're sick of this.
By the way, we're not just saying this. Mainline culture is so uncool. All the young people at my children's school and other school events where other schools are, I'm not just bragging, I'm like a rock star with 12-year-olds. I know you are. They run up and say, you know Mark Dice, you know Paul Watson, you know Gavin McInnes, you know. And the parents of all the kids run over because their kids all watch. I mean, that's got to scare the establishment.
They're absolutely freaked out, which is why they had the adpocalypse trying to hit us where it counts. They're going to probably start removing more content through the Content ID, particularly the news analyst channel.
But don't they know the kids are going to find it? You try to take something away from kids.
Yeah, they're going to lose either way. I mean, Jim Acosta got so triggered by me on Twitter that he blocked me. He literally, the guy who proclaims that he's proud that the president called him fake news, I called him fake news and sent him a Scooby-Doo meme, and he literally blocked me. Allison Camerata is quitting Twitter. They don't know what to do. They see us as the new media, and it's not just us. I mean, there are thousands of smaller channels
popping up.
And I mean, when I say smaller, I mean, even if a channel has 10,000 subscribers, that's 10,000 people that are not going to be watching CNN.
And let's expand. You add them together, it's in the hundreds of millions, and this is what scares them. That's the minor leagues. Think of the Darryl Strawberries and the Pete Roses and the people that are going to come up out of that into the major leagues.
We already see it. I mean, just in the last 6 months since the election, we've seen a whole crop of new millennial YouTubers. And many of them are getting quite popular. Actually, Patreon just removed Lauren Southern's Patreon page, which is a way that a lot of YouTubers get funding. So they're trying to cut funding through that as well.
But don't they get we came up from nothing to begin with? We're never going to stop.
On a laptop computer or using a cell phone, any individual can reach more people than them. They're freaked out. Vice News is cutting people. I mean, before the election, we had CNN could barely get 100,000 viewers. During the election cycle, they started getting more viewers because people are turning into the news.
But it's still a shadow of its former self. Let's talk about the Vagina Challenge, the latest liberal insanity. 5 more minutes with Mark Dice at markdice.com. But we've got to get back on more. This guy's hard to get on. He's so busy. And then we're going to talk to Mike Cernovich, another superstar of independent true media. Coming up, we're going to play some of the Scaramucci information. They tried to run him out. I don't know if I can tell you some of the Scaramucci stories I know behind the scenes. Pretty powerful. Please spread the word, folks. It's an active rebellion. Infowars.com. We have the new product at InfoWarsLife.com, BioTrue Selenium.
We've had so many requests over the years for selenium, and just recently, we were able to source a certified organic, bioavailable selenium from mustard seed extract. When you take selenium in the body, it actually benefits the detoxification systems in your body. It helps balance the thyroid gland. It helps detoxify.
Selenium is another one of those absolute must-haves.
The highest concentration of selenium is in the thyroid gland, but it's actually used all over the body. As a matter of fact, there's 25 genes in the body that are directly dependent upon selenium. So it really is a all-around nutrient that everybody really needs.
I'm taking it now every day. This is so key. BioTrue Selenium is the product, the best selenium that we could bring you. We believe it's the best out there at a very, very low price. Exclusively available at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139.
Leading a frontal assault on the lies of the New World Order, it's Alex Jones.
Rallying Patriots worldwide, it's Mark Dice.
Rallying Patriots worldwide in defense of human liberty, it's Alex Jones.
Well, I know for a fact Mike Cernovich has some great White House contacts. We'll get his take on this big shakeup at the White House coming up in the next segment. What a broadcast day. I don't know where my show folder is, but we have just had so many great guests on. The insanity, the establishment is trying to censor, is trying to shut us down, is trying to bully, is trying to call for violence. We now learned that Obama wanted to have martial law ready the day after the election, but blinked. That's mainstream news. Our credibility only goes up. But the left seems to get more zombie-ish, more insane, as I show in this new video where we added documentation to the whole Bon Iver video that Time Warner's Super Deluxe put out in an attempt to hurt me. got like 20 million views now and only helped us. More young people tuned in. But how are they counter-striking? I know one point you wanted to get into was the latest liberal insanity.
Well, it's almost impossible in many cases to tell whether or not something is satire or something that is what the liberals want to do or try to do or are doing. And so there is a new internet challenge. We've seen some of these, like the ice bucket challenge a few years ago. You know, people videotape themselves getting ice water dumped on them and post it online. We've seen some really bizarre ones, the Kylie Jenner lip challenge, where a bunch of kids were sucking on shot glasses to swell up their lips, hoping that they would puff up and look like Kylie Jenner's. So now we have a new one, and I thought that this was a prank from 4chan. I really had to do some serious research into this. It sounds like a prank, but I assure you that this is actually what they're doing. The Vagisil Feminine Itch Cream Company has launched a supposed internet challenge. They're calling it the Vagina Challenge. Just search for hashtag Vagina Challenge on Twitter, and you will see. So they are encouraging women, and some of them are already, to scream the word vagina out in public and videotape themselves, supposedly to raise awareness for women's health, Alex. And they're donating $5 to Planned Parenthood, of all people, for every time that this happened. Now, when I first heard this, I thought this is a 4chan hoax to try to dupe, idiots into screaming vagina and videotaping it and posting it online. But it is on the Vagisil.com official website. They actually have a Twitter account, which is followed by about 30 people. There are 30 women, apparently, who want to follow a vaginal itch cream account on Twitter. And so they are reposting these videos. And so I put a couple of them up on youtube.com/Mark Dice. And the CEO of the company is doing it. So they now...
And let's be clear, what's happening is the globalists know that the desperate leftists will do anything for acceptance. So they're chumping him and trolling him, creating a controversy by getting liberals to go out and act like fools. Don't you agree that this is them trolling their own moron constituency?
And to try to promote Vagisil through social media, which is very strange because, the women who are screaming vagina based off the Vagisil channel challenge, it really says something about them. And if you just take a look at them, you'll start to see a pattern between all of them. But
exactly. But it also shows just like, they made the word Negro racist. That just means Negro or black, like Caucasian means from the Caucasus Mountains. It's also about demonizing words and just training so they can ban any word they want. Here, let's hear her scream the word vagina in public. Here it is.
Today, so that I could take Vagisil's Vagina Challenge to support women's health. And basically what it is for every Vagina Challenge video that's uploaded, they'll donate $5 to Planned Parenthood.
To help kill more babies.
Here it goes. Vagina! I tag Jamie, Carly, and...
So this is like a participation trophy, right? It's just they're trolling these morons.
Yeah, and it's a pathetic viral media attempted marketing plan as well that has backfired almost as bad as the one we talked about last time I was on, which is the Dove body wash obese bottles, where they started a half a dozen bottles. They apparently think that women want a body wash bottle that is fat and obese, and so they came out with a half a dozen different shaped body wash bottles from Dove, so that women can have a custom body wash.
Mark, you're amazing. I watch everything you do. We really appreciate you. Please join us again more. There goes Mark Dice. I tell you, it's just endless material with these crazy liberals. It's just they've been trained to not be self-sufficient. So just there's nothing they won't do. James Wesley Rawls is with us. I wanted to get him on, former Army intelligence officer, best-selling author, runs the biggest survival blog out there, survivalblog.com. So James Wesley Rawls, a great psychology expert on this. Do you agree with me that we're seeing devastating human awakening to the globalists? Huge events, but I could feel, though, their counterstrike is going to be insane, wild, and very dangerous.
Well, Alex, I think you asked where we are. I'd say we're about 1967 right now. If you look back to the 1960s and the radicalization of what started out as an anti-draft, anti-war movement. It all got started very peacefully with a group called the Students for a Democratic Society, SDS. And those protests grew more and more violent, and a lot of the people that were involved got increasingly radicalized. And then starting in the late 60s, 67, 68, 69, you saw splinter groups come off of the anti-war movement.
The Weathermen. But don't you agree, though, we're going to see an acceleration of the radicalization?
I think so. In fact, I think it can happen much more rapidly because of the rapid dissemination of information. I think within 2 years, we'll probably see overt terrorism coming out of groups like Black Lives Matter and the Antifa movement. And an amazing parallel is that if you look at the late 1960s, the real ringleaders of the terrorist campaign that took place then was a mixture of disenfranchised inner-city blacks and ultra-privileged, college-educated whites.
They're literally running the same Saul Alinsky plan, but in the 21st century.
Right. I think we're going to see them get rapidly radicalized and very rapidly transition into overt terrorism. And I think their first terrorist attacks will probably be in the cyber world. And probably then followed by overt bombings, kidnappings. If a lot of your listeners who weren't born when we were, anyone born after about 1965 or 68 probably does not remember this whole period of time. But in the late 60s and the early 70s,
same deal. Random cop killing, bank robberies, kidnapping.
Right. Airline hijackings, assassinations, kidnappings, the whole works.
I agree with you, but I think it's going to be 20 times bigger than the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And I think, as you said, it's compressed. But I think the shooting of Scalise and all of this is the beginning. I understand he's a lone wolf, but I think with this ambient brainwashing for violence, it's the terrorism is being directed, just like Al-Qaeda or ISIS does it from a central deal, and then random people pick up on it and follow the blueprint.
Listening to an Infowars.com frontline report. If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
I was told by 2 different White House sources 5 months ago, about a month into the administration, that Anthony Scaramucci is one of Trump's favorites from the campaign of getting stuff done, and that he had him in there as one of his advisors, and that they came in about a month in and said, when the president was on a trip, you are fired, the president doesn't like you. And he was told this by Reince Priebus and Sean Spicer. And then he called some of his friends that were outside of the White House, and they said, no, that's what they're doing to other people. Don't leave, because they'll tell Trump you quit. And asked to meet with the president. Well, they wouldn't give him the meeting for a week or so, but he went in, saw the president. The president waved him in. The president got real mad. How do you think Sean Spicer feels when he tried to go in there and hoax Anthony Scaramucci? All you're getting is an exclusive. But the media doesn't like us to have victories, so they never report on them. Well, that doesn't matter. We'll report on them. Like recent victories I've had. They'll be nowhere in the newspapers here in Austin, Texas. Because they just want to put out their perpetual hoaxes to the public. So here's a few minutes of it that we're going to Mike Cernovich, probably the hardest working guy out there. I don't work 18 hours a day anymore. I just can't do it. I only work about 12, 14. But this guy is just constantly out there producing films and hosting shows. And again, in September 4th is the date we're launching the show. That's going to come on 3 o'clock Central every day for 3 hours. He'll host it with Roger Stone and Owen Schroyer. Roger will come in for about 30 minutes to an hour every day with commentary, but it's going to be those two guys really quarterbacking the whole operation. A lot of stations ready to pick it up. Very, very excited stations. So we're going to change the clock to the standard 6 o'clock, deal where you come in at 6 after instead of 8 after. So a lot of exciting things, a lot of affiliates chomping at the bit to pick up the War Room with Mike Cernovich. I want to get Mike's intel on what's happening in the shakeup. Remember, about 100 and something days in, he said, you're about to get real happy. Trump's about to get super populist again. He tried to compromise. They stabbed him on the back, starting about day 70. By about day 110, he turned back towards total liberty because they weren't compromising. And now, the word is he's really going after Mueller and all these other phonies who have the biggest dragnets in history. But first, here's Anthony Scaramucci press conference that started about 45 minutes ago. Here's the first few minutes of the panicked prostitutes.
My remarks informal, and then I'll take questions from everybody. First off, I'd like to announce formally that Sarah Huckabee Sanders is going to be the press. Oh, you can't hear me? I'm sorry. Better? Sarah Huckabee Sanders is going to be the press secretary, and so you can congratulate her after the session. You still can't hear me? No sound? Okay.
They just say that to make him look weak.
Better.
They sit around in meetings. Hit pause.
Better now?
I'm telling you.
I'm going to start over.
Hit pause. Hit pause. I'm telling you, they're such rat bastards. And our people been in there with the press passes. Mike Sermon's been there. They sit back and they go, what are we going to do to make him look bad? And they say, act like his mic's not on when they come in. That's a classic tactic. His mics are on. You can hear it echoing in the room, not just the Fox mic. You can hear it echoing in the room from where the cameras are at the back, and they just keep saying, yeah, yeah, from the beginning. Like, yeah. They didn't say, hey, turn the mic on, or hey, the mic. It's, yeah, ah. Day one, we're going to game this guy, because they're sitting there for a couple hours going, what are we going to do? Act like you don't hear his mic, make him look like he fumbled when he came out, because they're all thinking, how do we manipulate Trump? Say he's the brain of Trump. Yeah, do that next. So let's start that over to see the anatomy of a psyop, because I know microphones. I know that you can hear it on. It's on the PA in the little room. They can hear it. The room's so small, they can hear him from his own voice. Here it is.
Better now? I'm going to
back that up to the beginning. Back it up. See, the whole time you can hear the mic. You can hear it's on. He hits it earlier. It's working. He starts talking. They still say they can't hear. These are scum. Their whole life is about deceiving. It's about hating people. It's about in unison lying when Black Lives Matter kills more people. Mike Cernovich has been there. He's witnessed it. He's called them out. We're going to play more of this in a moment. But Mike, all of this is so educational. Do you not see the dirty trick? What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's good to get behind the news and behind the scene, and that, of course, is why they oppose what we're doing, is we take people behind the scenes of how they manipulate the message and lie and deceive and feed people fake and false information. It's textbook. It's just like they lit you up like a pumpkin for the Megyn Kelly thing. All these dirty tricks are to be expected.
But, I mean, his mic's on from the beginning. You've been there. It's a little bitty room with a broken bathroom next to it. It's a filthy little hole. I mean, literally, the room's like 25 feet from the front to the back, maybe 30 feet. But the mic's on. You can hear it, and they just keep saying, no, it's not working. Let's play the clip again. Here it is.
Remarks informal, and then I'll take questions from everybody. First off, I'd like to announce formally that Sarah Huckabee Sanders is going to be the press. Oh, you can't hear me? I'm sorry. Better? Sarah Huckabee Sanders is going to be the press secretary, and so you can congratulate her after the session. You still can't hear me? No sound? Okay. Better now? I'm going to start over. You guys heard me in the front, though, right? What did I say, John? Sarah's going to be the press secretary, right? Okay, so congratulations to you, Sarah.
They're scum. They're all about deceiving the public, so they like to deceive him. That's their game. Keep going.
What I want to say is I want to thank personally Sean Spicer, not only on behalf of myself, the president, the administration, but Sean is a true American patriot. He's a military serviceman. Look at that high road. Family. And he's done an amazing job. This is obviously a difficult situation.
It was Spicer that told him he was fired.
And I applaud his efforts here. I love the guy, and I wish him well. And I hope he goes on to make a tremendous amount of money. As it relates to me in this position, I'm going to spend a couple of weeks getting to know the people here, and I'm going to be as coordinated as I can with the people inside the West Wing.
We're going to come back to some more of those questions, but I want to turn this over, if he wants to play it, to the one, the only Mike Cernovich. Mike, wow, what does this signify Trump's doing? A, B, what is your intel telling you? And I'm going to turn this over to, again, Mike Cernovich. Go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, that clip is funny, too, because the White House press room is tiny. It's about the size of your studio where you do your main show. So the idea that they couldn't hear him, even if the microphone had been working, they're so fake, dude. They're just trolling him like they do all the time. Scaramucci, or Mooch as his friends call him, this is a very, very, very big move. I knew about this a while ago. I just hadn't reported it. I had to embargo it a little bit. But, you and I both had got sources that Spicer was out. Spicer tried to block it. Priebus tried to block it. Priebus has been leaking negative stories about Scaramucci since last night. He was up on the phone all night calling Politico, Washington Post, New York Times, CNN, trying to get them to...
I can't believe Trump puts up with this. The one criticism is he needs to get rid of all those guys now.
Yeah, Trump still doesn't really understand. He's getting it, though. The good guys are moving in. Scaramucci has a better understanding of media than Spicer. Spicer, all he did was play defense and answer press releases and everything. Mucci understands that you actually have to create content. You have to push your own narrative.
You have to create the narrative. You have to create the story because the story is America and prosperity and fighting tyranny, not let them control the narrative.
Exactly. The way I always put it is that if you didn't exist and social media didn't exist, what good about Trump would ever be heard? What defense about Trump would ever be heard? Take away Alex Jones, take away social media, and there's no messaging coming out. They have an entire communications team, but all they do is the media...
They sycophant around all day, brown nose and give BJs, quite frankly, to other liberal media, hoping they can be part of the in crowd. They're all trying to feather their nest to go get a job at, Fox News or CNN.
That, too, and they also want to be liked. Sean Spicer definitely wants to be liked. Scaramucci understands new media better. The way I always put Sean Spicer is he never did new media any favor. He never did anything for us. He never did anything for the resistance, for the patriots. He's just another...
Well, I'm not going to announce. It's Sean Spicer who deliberately killed us getting press passes over and over again. And literally, people above him, a.k.a. who, had to get us in.
Yeah, I'd had, Spicer, I can't go into the full details of it, but Spicer had definitely tried to sabotage me before, too, and that is a slight that, of course, I did not forget, and I do not forget those kinds of things. So it's politics. What Reince Priebus has to understand is that we don't owe him anything. We're not Republicans. We are Trump Republicans.
We're patriots.
Trump.
Yeah, Priebus is up next on the chopping block. I wonder how long till he gets thrown out the airlock.
Yeah, Trump has wanted to get rid of these guys for a while. The issue, there's so much going on. I got to be careful what I said. McMaster just held a meeting to discuss me. Believe it or not, we'll talk about that maybe with you now or at the end of the segment.
No, we're going to skip this break. Go ahead and take over. Give us the data.
Yeah, so there was a story in Bloomberg that just broke right before I got on air, actually. And McMaster held a meeting to talk about my Twitter account. And he said in this meeting, there's no such thing as an Obama holdover. And that you guys should know that Cernovich is a bad person. Because I'd been talking about these Obama holdovers in the deep state within the NSC and the rest of the intelligence.
Sure, and they had foreign affairs and public affairs. All the elite publications by name say you're dangerous, you've got real sources, and you're hurting deep state's attempt to sabotage the country. So now McMaster's had a meeting about you again.
Yeah, exactly. It just broke on Bloomberg. I texted them the story a couple minutes ago, so they should be able to...
Give us the headline. We'll put it on screen. What's the headline?
Yeah. Here, the headline is... here, let me... I'll pull it up right now. The headline is, the adults are out of the room. It's a very nasty article about Bannon. Trump's axis of adults is breaking apart. So it's, of course, a Bloomberg, a global...
Oh, it's terrible. There's actual people that want the country's future and that are battling back. It's terrible.
Yeah, so in that story, they go, H.R. McMaster said there are no holdovers, and he was responding to a series of tweets by Mike Cernovich. But
it's admitted that Trump can't get his people in, and that Obama's told the New York Times, I'm putting people in everywhere so that Trump can't dig them out. That was in all the newspapers.
Exactly, and McMaster is siding with the Obama holdovers. He's actually saying that there's no such thing as an Obama holdover. These are all great people. Even though those people are sabotaging Trump, they're leaking to Trump and everything. The interesting thing, though, Alex, is just how shaken up that they are. In the next paragraph of the article, they say that McMaster was responding to a series of tweets by Mike Cernovich. They have to respond to us now. This is a whole new media landscape that Scaramucci understands and Sean Spicer never did. The National Security Advisor... They're monitoring. I've information. They monitor InfoWars.
And they go on and admit the precarious position. This is the elite talking to themselves in Bloomberg. Oh, no, if Trump reads this, he's going to figure it out. We are so precarious, which shows you how pathetic they are.
Yeah, that's actually a great point. Bloomberg is very upset to know that you and I have more influence in the media than Bloomberg has. Right now, the real national security journalism is on Infowars.com. It's on Facebook.com.
Well, let's say it. I mean, you've really gotten under the skin. You get special recognition here. You've done just a great job. But so what does this signify? How pathetic they are, that everybody knows they're deep state dug in, and they're bitching and complaining that we're exposing it?
Yeah, and that's why the ADL is doing a target list, foreign policy, done hate.
Oh, that's why I wanted to get you on. Yeah, they literally put you next to neo-Nazis, and clearly they're trying to get somebody, just like Southern Poverty Law Center has gotten a bunch of people shot when they attacked the Family Research Council. I mean, they really are crazy.
Yeah, so there's an alliance now with the ADL, their unhinged readers. There's an alliance with Deep State Foreign Policy and the Just Society, which is owned by George Soros. Did a hate job on me. But they're losing. For example, we had Josh Mandel do a very courageous thing. Josh Mandel is running for Senate in Ohio. And he goes, you know what? I'm tired of these witch hunts by the ADL. The ADL is no longer about protecting Jews. It's about protecting left wing. Where's the list of...
It's about protecting Soros, listed as an enemy of Israel in the WikiLeaks, saying overthrow Israel and give it to the Muslims. That's what's crazy, is the ADL literally works directly against Israel.
Exactly. And Keith Ellison is a member of the Muslim Brotherhood. He definitely hates Jewish people. He hates Israel. He hates a lot of things.
Look, the bottom line, the leftist Jews have completely made an alliance with radical Islam. And just like Soros helped round up Jews for Hitler, he's doing it again today. I mean, Soros is literally the #1 living Nazi.
Right. And conservative Jews are saying that. And that is why I've always been an outspoken critic of anti-Semitism. What I've been telling people is I go, if you think that Jews just all think alike, you don't really understand.
You're playing into the globalist master manipulation.
Yeah, exactly. The globalists want to make it seem like all Jews are anti-America, and that actually isn't true. The ADL is anti-America. The ADL is anti-freedom. But there are many...
Because they go back to the Jewish mafia in 1913, founded it. It was the Jewish mafia feeding off Jews, abusing Jews, and it was the Jewish mafia in Europe that wouldn't let Jews get out and made them pay money to them. So it's always been the group that feeds on the Jews working with the Nazis.
Exactly. The ADL would extort Jews, actually. And what the ADL is doing now is extorting Jews. They're saying, oh, my God, look at all these people. Most of the people that mentioned on the list